Are you a property developer or are you a salesman?
I make £1.5 million a month. If I did less than £1 million in a month, I would be embarrassed to tell my wife.
Where does a 17-year-old get 100 grand from?
How many properties do you own?
I own hundreds of properties.
Samuel Leeds.
Property investor and developer and also property educator Samuel Leeds.
You mentioned in the beginning that you make 1.5 mil every single month.
Yeah.
How much of that is from your mentorship and your courses versus how much of that being from your actual property strategy in your own portfolio?
Government are printing billions and billions of pounds every single year, and if you can't get your hands on a measly 100 grand to buy an asset, then you need shooting in the face. If I woke up tomorrow with your financial situation, I'd be rich in 6 months.
That goes against what you were just saying.
No, it doesn't. I'm a passionate salesperson, right? I'm an aggressive salesperson.
Who's a better salesman, you or Jordan Belford?
Most wealthy people, they won't come on podcasts.
Do you fit into that?
No, because I'm rich.
But then you're here on the podcast, so once again, it's going against what you're saying.
The rich and powerful don't want people to have money.
What made you want to get into the course selling business in the first place? What is going on, people? Welcome back to the Ceocast, the #1 podcast for showcasing business and entrepreneurship. Today, I am with none other than Samuel Leeds. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's great to be here.
Great to have you. Straight off the bat, first question. Tell me, are you a property developer or are you a salesman?
I'm both.
Both. Explain that.
Well, to be a property developer, you have to be a salesman. Mm-hmm. I think you have to be a salesman in everything you're doing. If you're building properties to sell, you have to sell them.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm both. But I'd say sales is I am a salesman through and through, because sales means money. If you say to someone, "What were your sales last year?" you mean how much money did you collect? So yeah. I'm a salesman. So absolutely.
What are you more passionate about than the actual property side of things, or getting the deal closed and getting the deal done? Both, man. I just like making money. if it makes money, it makes sense. Yeah.
But I do like building beautiful buildings and refurbishing beautiful buildings. That gives you a good kick. But I just like business. It's a game.
No, fair. There's a lot to get into here, right, Samuel? So I think a lot of people are going to watch this podcast right now. To be fair, I'm not sure how the comments are going to go, because, naturally, with someone like yourself who sells a product or service, or someone who sells a course, there's always going to be comments in there saying, why is this guy on the podcast? What has he got to offer? He's just another course seller, so on and so forth.
Well, I make £1.5 million a month. So I'd like to think making £1.5 million a month, I'll be able to share a few nuggets or two.
All right, fair enough. There we have it. If
people like me, if they don't like me,
yeah, I
make a lot of money. If you want to make a lot of money, and I have a lot of staff. I've got 60 full-time employees. I've done 500 property deals. Mm-hmm. I just wrote a book a couple of weeks ago. In fact, I had the idea to write a book. I wrote it in 5 days, and within 10 days, it was #1 bestseller on Amazon. I've sold thousands of copies. So I'd like to think that people got something to learn, whether they like me or not.
I think they do. Let's dive into it. How do you actually make your money? Obviously, we mentioned property, but I know there's so many different fields within property. What is yours?
So I've got multiple businesses. I've got a property development business where I buy and develop properties. I've got a property investment business where I sit and hold properties. I've got a property mediation service. I've got a property education company. I've basically got multiple different businesses. I've got bits of fintech and all kinds of stuff, but it's all in property, and mostly in the UK.
So you've kind of done what I aspire to do, have one tree, but then several different branches.
100%. And a lot of people, when they start out, they'll do a bit of cryptocurrency, and then they'll chase the next shiny penny, a bit of Amazon drop shipping, some copywriting, go on a real estate course. And what happens is, if you try and chase multiple rabbits at the same time, you're not catching anything. So for me, I've been super focused on, certainly as a brand. Interesting you asked me the question, are you a salesman or are you a developer? My brand is very much, I've deliberately stayed in the property niche. I get people all the time wanting to collab with me that do cryptocurrencies and this and this and this, but I want my brand, my channels to be all about. Yeah, it has to be about property generally, yeah.
Okay, no, that's very interesting. And do you know what's even more interesting, right? When I have guests on that my dad knows about, my mum knows about, or so on and so forth knows about, and I said to my dad, look, I'm doing a podcast with Samuel Leeds today. He was like, oh, really? Sick. Cool. And that kind of shows me that, you've captured my generation, which is around, let's say, 27 to 30-year-old or even younger. But then you've also got my dad who's in his 50s, and him and his friends know about you. Yeah. So you're big in the property game. You've probably made some great big impacts on people.
Yeah, well, my average audience is on YouTube, because you can see the stats, can't you?
Yep.
And I think a lot of influencers that talk about business, they attract a very young audience. Mine is actually old. So my average audience is between 35 and 50.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
I don't get
interesting.
young. I have on the YouTube. I'll show you afterwards the YouTube analytics between the age of 13 and 18.
Yep.
0%.
0%.
I mean, I'm sure there'll be 0 point something,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it just shows 0.
Yeah.
So I don't get kids watching me.
2% or something like that. So that's interesting because majority of my chunk on this audience is particularly 18 to 35. That's a big range, I know, but that's majority of the audience. So okay, interesting.
Mine 35 to 50. Just the because I think again, like property is quite an old. It's an older person's game generally. So and I'm getting a bit old now anyway. I'm in my 30s. I'm 33. So generally, you're how old?
27.
So I think you kind of attract an audience a bit like you.
Yeah.
But
interesting. The way I look at it is property. You know, I want to make my money, whether it be in social media, etc., all that sort of stuff. But the way I look at it is property, bricks and mortar is never going to go down. And probably the safest investment you can make outside of your business.
Yeah, I think so. By the way, I have to say respect, man, because you're killing the game.
I'm trying to, man.
Doing real well, man. I've been watching you for a while now. So.
We're trying. I'm gonna get in. There's a whole lot to uncover and unfold in this podcast, right? Because obviously we've got the property side of things, we've got the money making side of things, we have got the truth about the business,
the controversies,
the conspiracies,
all of that sort of stuff.
But also interestingly, last week you invited me to a dinner.
Yeah.
And let me just paint the picture for people so they understand it. We'll talk about it later on in this podcast. I just get a random DM on like a Tuesday night or something from Samuel saying, hey, I'm doing a dinner with Jordan Belford. Would you like to come? I'm like, Wolf of Wall Street. So we've got to talk about your networking side of things as well, because I think you even posted a picture or something saying, no one networks better than me.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, fairs. So let's dive it all the way back then. Let's start from the very beginning, Samuel. So how old were you when you first got into property?
Yeah, pretty much when I left school, 16. I was working, doing different things, cleaning snooker tables, working for my dad.
Didn't go to college?
Nah, didn't go to college, flunked out of school 16. It was actually when I was working on a building site when I first got exposed to property, when the builder that I was working for, because I was plastering, was basically jealous of the guys that were buying the houses. And he was saying to me, the guy that bought this paid this much and he's paying us this much and this is how much rent he's going to get per room and this is what. And I thought, man, that's the business then.
Yeah. That's the game's the game.
Yeah, that's the business.
Okay, so you got into it like that. Oh, that opened your eyes to it.
Yeah.
What was the first time you actually got involved in it yourself?
2009, I bought my first house. And
what area was that?
That was Maryvale Road, Bourneville, Birmingham.
Okay,
B32DA.
B30.
March 2009.
You still on the property? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Bought it for 100 grand. It's now worth just shy of 300 grand. So it's almost tripled. Yeah.
Okay, so bought that for 100 grand. How old were you at the time?
17.
Where does a 17-year-old get 100 grand from?
They realised that the government are printing billions and billions of pounds every single year. And if you can't get your hands on a measly 100 grand to buy an asset, then you need shooting in the face.
But then tell me how you got your hands on that 100 grand.
Well, that was 100% mortgaged. And I had to get a guarantor to do it.
Parent, I'm assuming?
Mom's new husband.
Okay, yep.
Yeah. And he basically didn't give me any money, but he was a guarantor to me. And also just stack the deal. Like people think, oh, I need the money. I need 100 grand. How do you get the money to buy property? Actually, getting the money is the easy bit. The hard bit is getting a deal that people want to back financially. Now I've got a bridging finance company where I give out millions of pounds and my own money and pump it into people's property deals. And I say to people, don't worry about the money. The money's there. Worry about getting a deal that people want to invest in. So I think that's it's a change of mindset. It's the same with anything, like starting a podcast or like, oh, I haven't got the money to start a podcast. Well, start on your phone. Just start.
Start on something.
Get good.
Yeah.
And then the money will just come.
Yeah, literally. I made a TikTok about this, but I wouldn't say viral. We got like 80,000 views or something like that. And it was just talking about the studio and how much everything costs and all that sort of stuff. And at the end of it, I said, look, I started with £20. That was it. Right. A phone and a microphone, done. Yeah. But you don't need to start at this scale. You can literally start small. Yeah. Which, and I suppose there's always lucrative ways where you can make it work. In your case, getting a guarantor for that mortgage to make sure it happens. Yeah. So you got your first property at 100 grand now.
Yeah.
Was it not derelict, but like, run down, etc., all that sort of stuff?
A little bit, not derelict. I spent 2.5 grand on it and I just did the work myself. It just needed painting, plastering, carpets.
Yeah. Okay, so you got the DIY tools in you as well?
Yeah, man, 100%.
Same. I built the whole
nice. I think I'm a bit rusty now.
Yeah.
But I know how to...
Oh, you're too busy making 1.5 million a month. I can imagine you're busy.
Yeah, exactly. But I know how to move around a little bit inside the house.
So what was the whole deal with that property? What did you decide to do? Was it a renting out, HMO?
HMO, yeah, okay. Room by room.
How many rooms?
4.
Okay, and how much was you making on each room, if you don't mind me asking?
No, that's all right. You can ask me anything, brother.
Okay, sweet. I'd love to hear it.
It's on average about £350 a room. Mortgage was 166, and then after the bills and that, I managed it myself. I was making £950 a month profit.
At 17 years old?
Yeah.
That's not bad. And was you doing anything else on the side as well? Because obviously that would have been somewhat passive money.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty passive. Yeah, man, I was doing all kinds of stuff on the side. At this point, I was still doing I was just doing anything I could. I mean, the year prior to that, I was doing paper rounds. So I was just a kid, man.
Okay, damn, interesting. Being a CEO isn't just about making tough decisions. It's about being at your very best every single day. That's why a lot of CEOs trust Sunnah Supplements, the world's first halal supplement brand. From halal collagen to electrolytes, Sunnah Supplements formulates products to help you perform at your highest level. Whether you're leading a company, a family, or simply yourself, Sunnah Supplements should be your partner to help you achieve more. The products are literally crafted to fit your lifestyle, your values, and your ambition. Every single ingredient is backed by science, and every single product is halal certified. And every formula designed to help you become the best version of yourself. And here's why I love Sunnah Supplements, yeah? Because every single sale they make, they donate a portion of it to charity, which is something I deeply align with. So I'm not just buying products that fuel my body, but I'm also buying products that align with my values. With over 50,000 customers and having just launched in the USA, be sure to join the movement today and use the discount code Ceocast for 10% off. Or I'll make this even simpler for you guys. Scan the QR code on the screen right now, which will take you directly to the website. And once again, when you're checking out, use code Ceocast to get 10% off of your order. What an absolutely bloody bargain. So I want to thank Sunnah Supplements for A, sponsoring this video, but B, helping me become a better person overall. So now you've come to terms with understanding you've got your money in property, you're making money from this property. Did that open your eyes more to think, right, cool, I need to make more properties? Because the way I'm looking at it is like this. A 17-year-old especially can look at £955 passive and look, you know, that's good. Now I can go get a job, leave that running on the side, we'll leave it as there. So there's two mindsets to this. You can either think, I'm going to stack up and get more properties and do this 10 times to make 10 grand, or I can go and work a job and my property is there. No, man,
I just wanted to get into debt. Loads and loads and loads of debt. I mean, my first house was 100% debt.
Yeah, there you go.
and not only was it 100% debt, but I bought it for 100,000, but then it dropped to about 90,000. So now, not only am I in debt 100 grand, but my net worth is minus 10 grand.
Yeah. Interesting.
And that's exactly the right thing to do for most people. Get into debt.
Get into debt. For any business or just property you're talking about?
I'm talking about if you can borrow money and get into debt and then buy stuff with it that are going to hold their value, whether that be property or something else, that makes so much sense.
When did you get your second property?
A year after.
Okay. And what was that?
That was in Block Switch, £65,000 purchase. Again, 100% debt.
So at 33 years old right now, are you dealing with just residential property or is the other side to it as well?
Mostly commercial now.
Mostly commercial now. Okay, that's interesting because I haven't done a podcast regarding commercial property. So how does that work?
I much prefer commercial property now.
Why is that?
Well, because it's bigger, it's more passive, it's more tax efficient, and it's what the rich people do. If you go on the Sunday Times rich list and you look at how people are making their money, 25% of companies on the Sunday Times rich list are property investment companies, and the 75 that aren't, the vast majority of them are investing their profits into property. So all the rich people are basically investing in property heavily, and they're mostly doing it in commercial property.
What's the difference with commercial though?
It's completely different. I mean, for a start, you don't have the tenants don't have rights. Super long leases, fully repairing and insuring leases. You can push the value up based on the rent.
Yep.
So a residential, like this building that we're in right now, you lease this space, right?
Yep.
So this whole building is going to be valued based on the rent.
Yep.
Whereas a normal residential property is valued based on the bricks and mortar.
Yeah. And based on what's around in that area and stuff like that.
So if you want to push the value up of a property, it's much easier to do it with a commercial property because you can be creative and push the rent up. Like I just bought a hotel a few months ago.
A guy just come on a podcast saying, I just bought a hotel.
I bought three actually.
Oh, you bought three hotels?
I'm just going to tell you about one, but I bought three. So I bought a hotel and the hotel was a little bit shabby. Rents are quite low. I know I can double the revenue. So if I double the revenue, I'm also doubling the value of the hotel. So that's a much easier way to push the value up than it would be to buy a residential house for 200 grand, mess around, refurb it, and now it's worth 300. You made 50 grand, congratulations. Whereas if I'm doubling the value on a commercial property, and it's just as easy to do.
These hotels, did you buy them all in one go, as in like almost like a bulk buy, or
No, they're
individually?
separate transactions.
Separate transactions. And so this one hotel you're talking about in particular, let's just get into this quickly. So how many rooms has that got?
26.
26 rooms. And it's going to be rented out every single night, pretty much?
Not every single night, but probably 9% occupancy.
So my head is automatically telling me that is a great investment.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But did you get it for almost like the business aspect of being a hotel or the actual block itself?
No, I bought the whole building.
Bought the whole building?
Yeah.
And it's more than just a hotel, I'm assuming?
No, it's just a hotel.
Okay, just
It's a hotel building.
Yeah.
It's in the Peak District.
Oh, is it? Okay,
Yeah. It's
interesting.
in the Peak District.
Yeah.
1.4 million with 100 grand refurb. And then the new value will be anywhere between 2.5 and 3.
Just from that 100 grand refurb?
Well, no, just from the rent.
Oh, okay, interesting. Just
That's how commercial.
everything.
That's how commercial properties are valued, based on the rent.
Interesting. So what's the biggest plot you've got then? The hotel, or is it something else?
The biggest plot I got, the biggest development I did was I just opened last week, which was a hospital ward, 64-bed hospital ward in Uganda. That's my biggest development. The biggest property that I own in the UK that's like an investment is a castle.
Okay, where?
Bewdley.
So what is it with you? How do you even find these
I
deals?
just like buying big buildings.
But
man.
how do you find them? Because I'm sure they're not on Rightmove.
But my students bring them to me.
Okay, how?
That's why I run a training business.
So wait, so you've trained your students to find deals.
They can't buy them because they're too poor, so they pass them to me and I give them 20 grand.
But then you just said there before in the beginning of the podcast that you also have a bridging loan company, which obviously I know what bridging loan is, but I'm sure you would also have a company that finances deals for your students and stuff. So wouldn't a student just come to you in that situation saying, look, I found a castle, you know, Samuel.
Nah, bro. Let's say you're 22 years old, you're just starting out in property,
Yep.
and you find a castle.
Yeah.
No one financing that castle for you
Why not?
because it's too big. It takes too much experience to be able to renovate it.
Well, when you think about it, I agree with you, but I also think at the same time...
You'd be damning them straight to hell, my friend.
No, but I also think at the same time that yes, it's going to be a much bigger renovation, but the process of the renovation is still the same.
Nah, it's
How
not.
How not?
Because you've got to deal with English heritage, you've got to deal with all kinds of complexities that you wouldn't have to deal with if it was just a 100 grand house with a 50 grand refurb.
The only thing I can see being a problem is that there'll probably be a listed building when you can't change anything on the outside.
Planning permission, you've now got to get a team of surveyors, architects, it's a completely different. I mean, literally my first house that I bought, I did the full refurb myself. 2.5 grand. Oh, carpets, paint. Maybe even might have to put some kitchen worktops in. Dealing with a castle, bro. Come on now.
Okay, so interested, right?
I would have been crippled.
To the younger person getting into property right now, would you advise them to do it all themselves, or would you advise them to get a team of builders and do it up like that?
I would advise them to start small. Don't buy a castle.
No.
Don't buy a hotel.
Not a castle, but let's just say a 100 grand house.
Yeah.
Would you advise them to do it all up themselves?
If you can, yeah. The thing is, ultimately, to run a successful company, you need a good team. But you can't hire someone to do a job that you don't know how to do yourself. Generally speaking, like I got about 62 full-time employees, right? Mm-hmm. Pretty much every single person, I can do their job because I did it at one point.
Yeah.
I was the cleaner. I did my own bookkeeping. I did my own marketing, my own sales. I edited my own YouTube videos. I managed my own properties. If you get a property management company and say, can you manage this property, but you don't know how to read it yourself, they're going to pull the wool over your eyes. They're going to tell you, oh, it's not renting because it's Easter. And you're not going to know that they're full of crap because you never did it yourself. So to start with, do it yourself, learn the ropes, and then replace yourself. The key to being rich is to constantly be replacing yourself, not outsourcing jobs that you know nothing about. It's getting good and then replacing yourself.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you this, right? Because I'm currently looking for a role in my business within content and all that sort of stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's a job that I can spend time learning. However...
What's the job?
Brand deals, acquiring sponsorships, all that sort of stuff.
I would do it yourself.
So I can do it myself. I've done it before. I can do it many times over.
So then hire somebody and say, I've done it before. I know how it works, and then train them and then let them replace you.
But there's also more experience to still learn, I think, with it, right?
Okay.
To get much bigger deals. You know, for example, if I had, let's just say, Samuel Leeds property company sponsoring this podcast and, you know, companies of that scale, basically, I think is the, not the challenge for me, but something I've got to learn more on. Now,
everyone will sell your dream as well. Everybody will say, all the marketing agencies, oh, we can blow your business. Everyone will say the dream. And people, that's how people get poor in business, because they buy into it, they abrogate responsibility and go, oh yeah, that sounds wonderful. And then no one delivers.
But then there's also that saying, which is what I was going to come to, of who, not how.
Right.
Finding who can do it.
But you can't find who unless first you know how.
Or they would know how, and they would show you, hopefully, results and testimonials and stuff like that from other people. For example, I'll give you a great one right here, right now. Someone who doesn't know anything about property, but wants to come on to get your course. Would you advise them to get your course? Yes or no?
Yes.
So then that goes against what you were just saying.
No,
there.
it doesn't. Because I wouldn't advise them to buy a deal from me. If I said, I'll do it for you, you pay me a service, then I would say, don't. No. Figure out how to do it yourself first and then hire people to do it for you.
So then what are they purchasing stuff for you then, if that's the case?
They're purchasing the mentoring and training of how to do it. Then they're doing it, and then they're employing people to replace them.
Okay, I think this is a good segment to come into what you actually sell in your services and stuff like that. So let's talk about it from a newbie perspective, right? I don't have a property yet. So if I was to come to you, Samuel, and say, look, I want to get into property. I understand that bricks and mortar is the best place for me to invest my money. I don't want to do it as a full-time thing where I own a property development company, etc., all that sort of stuff. I just want to build my portfolio of properties, have it sitting there, and deploy all my spare cash sitting in the bank into a property, because I understand that putting money in the bank is the worst thing you can do. Yeah,
because it will be wiped to zero.
It will be wiped to zero, exactly that. I'm in agreement on that. What do you do?
Okay, as in what do I offer from a training perspective?
Me?
3 levels. So the first level is free training. So I always give out free training to let people see what I do, get to know people, give them an idea of how I work. So I run property investment crash courses, which, okay, they're £1, but it's free. £1. Yeah.
Okay.
YouTube videos, podcasts, books. I give away a lot for free.
Just like this podcast right now?
Just like this podcast right now. So that's the first thing. So some people can just do the free stuff and go, okay, that gives me a bit of an idea. Now I'll go, cool. Yep. Second level is I have advanced courses. So I have multi-day programs, which comes with support, mentoring, training, which and I've got multiple courses depending on the strategy you want to learn. So let's say you want to learn about commercial property. I run a program called Commercial Property Masterclass. It's an online program, A to Z of commercial refurbs, how to find, how to stack, the full process with commercial property. That's £995.
And just to pause you on that one quick one. So are these course pre-recorded videos? Is it a PDF? What is it exactly? When I get it, what is it? Is it you?
Yeah, it depends which option you do. So if you do the online version, it's pre-recorded videos with worksheets. All of the training is accredited. Our training is CPD registered. If you want to do in person with me, then it's $1,995, $2,000. Okay. And those are the courses. What's that?
How long is the $1,995 for?
It depends on the course, but at least a couple of days.
Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah, and it comes with mentoring. You get one-on-one support. I've got a team of mentors. You'll sit down with my lawyer. So I'll get you sat down, business plan set up, A to Z of a strategy. And that's the courses. And then the ultimate is something I have called the Academy, and that's a 12-month mentorship.
Okay.
And that's 12,000.
Okay, 12,000 for the year.
Yeah. And
it's just a 1-year program, or is
1-year program.
You can stay on longer.
You can, but it's a 12-month program. You can renew for 2,000 thereafter per year.
Yeah.
But it's a £12,000 program, and for that you get my life. You get everything. Literally, you get unlimited mentoring. Come around my house for dinner. Meet up with me every Sunday. Train with me. Go to the gym with me. Spar with me. My lawyer becomes your lawyer. Just unlimited support, unlimited training, unlimited access for a year.
So here's my question off the back of that, right? You mentioned in the beginning that you make 1.5 mil every single month.
Yeah.
How much of that is from your mentorship and your courses versus how much of that being from your actual property strategy in your own portfolio?
Last month, my property business, nothing to do with training, made 400 grand profit. So that was not even a good month. That was okay. My training business on average does around about £800,000 turnover, profit. I mean, mate, people think training, oh wow, 12 grand a person. Yeah, but the cost to deliver it is immense. So I didn't make money from training. The first 4 years, I lost money from training. So the training business, it's making a profit now, but it's
what are your
huge
costs? I'm assuming obviously you got to pay your staff.
$500,000 a month.
$500,000 a month
on the training business alone.
And what is that?
And that's like cost? Overhead. That's not even direct costs. That's just like when we went into lockdown, COVID, and we weren't even running events or anything.
Yeah,
$500,000 a month.
So this event that I was speaking of when we went to dinner, obviously I came to the dinner, but I know you had an event prior to that.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you the full breakdown of cost and everything.
Let's do it, because I'm actually interested, because that was firstly in a great location, Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
The dinner was sick as well. I'll put a little video on the side right now because that was literally pitch side. Wicked.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Was that one of your £1 crash courses, or because that was a day thing?
That was a £1 event. All my training that I do, if it's your first time coming and it's just one day and it doesn't, unless the training that I'm delivering is coming with mentoring, and it's £1.
But that was £1 with Jordan Belfort.
Bro, with Jordan Belfort.
That's crazy. So
all my training is £1. Unless I'm mentoring you, unless I'm actually mentoring you, or I've got a team that are sitting down with you one-on-one, it's £1.
So how many people did you have come to this event?
We had 2,000 booked on, and we had in the room about 1,700.
Okay, so £1,700 just upfront from that.
Yep.
And okay, so I know you said you were happy to talk figures.
Yeah, man.
What, like, where's the boundary?
Full break, not anything, man.
All right, cool.
If I don't want to answer, I'll just say, actually, I don't want to answer. But you ask me anything.
So just the base of it, how much did it cost you to hire that venue?
The venue, hiring it, was about 75.
75 grand?
Yeah.
For the day?
Yeah, including all the stuff that comes with it. You got the AV and the this, about 75 grand.
So you're already 75 grand down?
Yeah, but don't worry, because I made £1,750 from ticket sales.
Yeah, you made that from ticket sales.
Exactly. That's why people are jokers, because they're like, oh wow, count the heads, do that. No, you got to look at the costs. Yeah.
But then
some people did buy VIP and things like that. So we brought in about 30 grand from ticket sales.
Yeah, because correct me if I'm wrong, when I was speaking to a few people at the dinner, they had come from the actual event itself.
Yeah.
And it was basically like an upsell into that, right?
Not really, no. It wasn't really an upsell. We just let people choose. So we sent out the link. There was 3 options. Come for £1. Mm-hmm. Anyone that wants to come for £1. Or get a gold ticket, which was about £100.
Yep.
There was an early bird on it, so it changed slightly, about £100. Most people paid. And that was, you meet Jordan, you shake his hand, you get a picture, you sit on the front. Cool, nicer experience, people that have got a little bit of money. And then £2,000 if you want to come down, sit on the front, meet with Jordan, and then afterwards come down dinner, have dinner with us. And you know the dinner was sick. That was £2,000.
Okay, fair.
But then I handpicked some people like yourself, and there was a few people that are my friends and that, which said come down, because I wanted to get to know them, chat with them. That's why I invited you. I was like, oh, you know what, we need to meet. Come down to the dinner.
Do you know what?
I'd rather say, instead of saying to you, hey, we should meet, let's meet for coffee. If I want to meet with you, I'd rather say, I'm doing this event anyway. I'm doing this dinner. Come, let's meet. And it's just easier and more time efficient.
It was a great thing as well, right, from my perspective, because I've been meaning to get you on the podcast and hit you up and all that sort of stuff anyway. And so when you told me to come down to this event, I was like, cool. Obviously, we got Jordan Belfort there. That's the benefit and that's the bonus, right? But also, I was like, now I can actually see what Samuel's like in person. But not only that, this is his event. So now I can see what people are saying about him. Yeah. And everyone I met there was saying great things about you. And I'm not saying this, you haven't paid me to say this or anything like that, but people were saying that, you know, everything you've taught them has effectively changed their life. There was one woman I was sitting next to, you done a video with her. Her name was, I want to say Laura?
Was she white or black?
She was white. She was like, I think she was Welsh. South Wales.
Oh, Narelle.
That's it. Yeah. So she used to be a lorry driver or something. Yeah. And then she got into property.
Yeah.
So
now she's got a portfolio worth 3.2 million in about 18 months.
In 18 months.
Yeah.
So she's not even lorry driving anymore or anything like that.
No.
Yeah. Because I was sitting with her, chatting with her, and I was like, yeah, she's a cool girl and everything like that. She was telling me her whole story, and obviously,
man. Thousands of people, man.
Yeah.
Thousands.
And then there was loads of other, you know, men, women, stuff like that, who off the back of it. Anyway, my point is to say that for me, that event vouched to say you are the real deal, and you know, let's have you on the podcast sort of thing.
Yeah, man.
So I'm glad we're here to do it.
So breakdown of the event.
Yeah.
Because I haven't finished with the breakdown of the event.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah. So
because I sold on the day.
Yeah.
Right?
So this is obviously, I didn't see the event, But I did hear that you were selling on the day as well.
Yeah.
So what was you selling? How much you were selling it for?
I was selling the Deal Selling Masterclass, which is a £2,000 program.
Yep.
And then I was also selling the £1,000 version. But then I did an offer on the day. I said, if you register today, you'll get 2,000 for the online and the in-person.
Okay,
so
both together.
£2,000. Yeah, both together.
Okay.
That was like an offer on the day, and also an incentive to get people to take. Otherwise, everyone's like, "Oh, think about it." You know, you got to do a bit of an incentive, and you know, reward the action takers. So I did that. I closed 5% of the room, or 4.5 or something.
So roughly about
I collected about
300 people.
No. Let me do the math. I collected about 120 grand. Let's see the math. So we had about 17, but then 1,700 people came. But then, you believe it or not, because I sell at the end of the day, there's a few people that have gone. So there might have been about 1,500 people in the room. So was the sales thing right at the end? Towards the end of the day, it was like maybe 4 o'clock. So yeah, I collected about, I think it was about 115,000 I collected on the day. But then we're at a loss because I've also had to pay Jordan Belfort.
How much did you pay me, if you don't mind me asking?
I don't know whether I want to say that because I don't know if it would be fair to Jordan, but what I will say is it was over 100 grand.
Okay, so that's a big loss then.
Bro, big loss.
But that was him for the whole day.
Yeah. Me and him kind of split it. So we did sort of
half and half and all that.
Yeah, about half and half.
Yeah.
So big loss. But then that always happens. Whenever I run an event, but there's some people, because they're stupid, go, oh, I just saw like 70 people just paid 2 grand. Oh, look at all this money's making. It's like, that don't even cover the cost of running the program.
Yeah.
But then those people that paid 2 grand, a lot of them will love the training so much that they'll end up doing the academy, which is where I'll make money.
What about the people who don't pay for the training at all? Do you have anything of a back end almost to fall back on in more of a reasonable budget for them?
Other courses. So they might, for instance, do the training on deal selling, how to package and sell deals. They might love it. They don't want to do the academy, or they can't afford the academy, or maybe we don't feel they're right for the academy because it's like an application process, but they might then do another one of our 2 grand courses. And a lot of people, you know, build up, they'll do this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, and then they'll end up going, you know what, I'm just going to join the academy. So
at this event, if we had to structure it right, so you're talking about property and training the whole day pretty much.
Yeah.
You've got Jordan Belfort there.
Yeah.
What was he doing? What was
sales?
Sales what?
Sales training.
Okay, sales training. He wasn't selling stuff himself.
No, he didn't sell nothing at all.
Okay, so he was just telling people how to sell and everything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, obviously that would make sense from the movie.
Yeah.
And then obviously at the end of the day is when you've sold stuff to other people.
Yeah.
The audience and stuff like that. Okay, interesting event. Now here's an interesting question: who's a better salesman, you or Jordan Belfort?
Probably Jordan Belfort.
By how much?
Oh mate, listen, he is like a living legend, isn't he?
Yeah.
So for me to turn around and say like, oh, I can sell better than him, everybody thinks they're the best. You know, I'm very confident in myself as a salesperson. I guess ultimately, how do you judge who's a good salesperson? I guess you've got to look at how much they sell. So I know how much I sell. I know how much I make across my businesses. I don't know what he makes. So, but I would never say, oh, I'm better than Jordan Belfort. No, I wouldn't be arrogant like that. He's taught me a lot about sales, and I want to honor him.
Wouldn't you say? Yeah, I agree. Wouldn't you say at the same time as well that judging someone's sales is also based on how ethical they are as well? You know, because you don't want to have someone who's constantly pushy, forcing someone to buy, and now consider that a sale from the outside perspective.
Potentially, although every business, there's 4 aspects to any business. There's marketing, sales, delivery, and finance. So I'd say probably if you're an unethical salesperson, you might be good at sales, but your reputation will end up being in tatters because you won't properly deliver. So, you know, you need to be as aggressive. That's the thing. I'm a passionate salesperson, right? I'm an aggressive salesperson, but I'm also an aggressive deliverer of what I've sold. So if I'm selling something, if I'm selling a deal to somebody, or if I'm selling a mentorship, or if I'm selling anything to somebody, when they enroll, I'm now going to be just as passionate. And everyone will back me up on this. This is my customer. I'm going to be just as passionate about delivering as I was selling. I'm going to be just as passionate in my marketing. I'm going to be just as passionate in my finance. So the key to being a well-rounded, successful business person is having all 4, mastering all 4, not just one. So you could be a great salesperson, but if you're not good at marketing, no one knows who you are. So you got no one to sell to.
Yeah, you got to market and get yourself in front of everyone.
Exactly. So you've got to master business. You've got to master sales, but you've also got to master delivery, operations, marketing, finance.
I want to come into the art of sales in a second, because I think that's a topic in itself and somewhat relatable. I'll tell you why in a second. But I know I'll keep coming back to it. 1.5 million a month, which you said in the beginning, for people to learn from and all that.
That's a bad month, by the way.
That's a bad month.
Yeah. I've not made less than, when I say make, I'm talking about in the bank. I'm not talking about profit.
Yep.
I've not done less than $1 million for years.
Okay. But
years.
Here's what I want to come to.
If I did less than $1 million in a month, I would be embarrassed to tell my wife.
But coming off the back of that, what are we learning from? Are we learning about property or how to sell education? Because that, on the split that you did before, the education is making more money.
No, it makes less. The education business the expenses are so high, the actual profit is quite low.
So what's someone got to do who's watching us right now to make 1.5 million a month?
In what business? In property?
Well, you tell me.
Okay, I would probably, for most people, and I'm not saying this in like an arrogant way, but for the average person that's making 3-4 grand a month or less, 1.5 million a month is probably too high of a jump. It's probably not relatable. And it's probably, for them trying to think, how do I make 1.5 million? It's probably not possible. So what I would say is, what is maybe 10 times more than you're currently earning? If you're currently making 150 grand a month, then I'll say, okay, let's talk about 1.5 million.
What, like a Grant Cardone 10x rule?
100%. And Grant Cardone, I've spent hundreds of thousands being mentored by Grant. So my mindset has been changed a lot by Grant. He talks about 10x what you do. So if you're currently making 2 grand a month, I'd say, okay, your plan should be, how do I make 20? How do you make 20 is different to how do I make 1.5. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then when you're at 20, how do I make 200?
Correct.
Okay.
Because there's no point me talking about how to make 1.5, because to the average person, me talking about how to structure a team and how to, what? Yeah. I've got companies all over the world. I've got trusts, I've got pensions, I've got companies set up in British Virgin Islands. And then people are like, how do I do that? Well, you shouldn't do that. It don't make any sense for you to do that. So because I came from nothing, generally when I'm mentoring people, normally it's about getting them to that 10, 20, 30 grand a month mark. And then once they're there, then okay, cool, next.
Serious question, right? This is slightly off topic to what I was going to ask you next. But making that money per month, is it worth the lifestyle that you live?
I don't live particularly. I tell you how much I pay myself. I pay myself a salary every month for 20 grand.
But that's 20 grand is a lot for a salary, right?
Not really. I could pay myself, if I wanted to, I could pay myself 10 times that.
No, of course. But what I'm saying is, retrospectively, over the year, that's a lot of money to play with in terms of you can go and live in your life and all that sort of stuff, right?
Bro, it's not. It's not.
How not? But it depends. I suppose it depends on what lifestyle you want to live.
Well, because the average rent in London is over 2 grand.
Yeah.
And then you got your bills, $1 grand. If you want to drive, you want to take decent holidays, flight prices have gone up by 300% over the last 3 years.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I can tell you that for a fact. Yeah,
like 10 grand a month is just getting by. 20 grand a month is comfortable, but it's not luxurious. Like, I don't drive supercars. I don't own fancy cars. I don't have fancy clothes. I don't spend loads of money. I just have a decent house, a couple cars, take decent holidays.
But this is the lifestyle you've chosen, because as you said there, you could easily pay yourself 200 a month.
Yeah.
But you choose to, the 20 grand is just for you to basically live comfortably.
Right.
Okay. So then all of that, all your business is also going to come with stress, right?
Potentially. I think life comes with stress though. You know what? It's interesting. We've both interviewed Andrew Tate 2 times. When I first met Andrew Tate, we were talking about health and fitness and stuff like that. And he said to me, if I woke up, he said, in your body, within 6 months, I'd have my body again. And I thought, damn, you know what? He's right.
Was this at the time where you were quite bigger?
Oh yeah, I was 6 stone heavier.
Yeah.
I was big.
I must say, congratulations. I told you the event already, but yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. And he was really sweet to me about it. He wasn't cussing me or anything. But I thought he's actually right, because that's what I think about broke people. I think, man, if I woke up tomorrow with your financial situation, I'll be rich in 6 months. So what he said, I thought, you know what, he is right. And I kind of thought, it's going to be difficult though. Losing weight, getting fit, I've got to go to the gym, eating healthy. I'm too busy. But then I thought, you know what? Everything in life is hard. If I'm fat, like I am at the time when I was thinking this, it's hard because now I'm fat. I get out of breath. I get tired going upstairs, can't play with my kids, look bad, struggle to get suits that fit me. It's not easy being fat. Aren't happy with the way that I look. No, I could be. It's a bit of a niggle. So it's kind of annoying. But then being slim and being fit is also kind of annoying because now I've got to go exercise, got to eat good.
Otherwise you're going to put it back on.
But the key is being fat and being slim. Both are hard. It's a case of working out, well, which hard am I going to choose? Getting married, right? I've been married to my wife. We've been married 10 years. We've got a fourth child due next week. So we've got beautiful family, beautiful kids. But guess what? Having kids is hard, right? Having a family is hard. So if you said to me, is it worth the stress? Absolutely, it's worth the stress. Yeah, it's hard having kids, but is it worth it? Yeah. I could say, I don't want kids. I don't want to get married. I just want to live single, be free. But that's got its own hardships. And it's the same with finances. Being rich comes with stress, absolutely. But so does being poor. I mean, man, some of the stresses I had when I was poor, growing up with a single mom, not affording carpets in the house. Even when I was like 17, 18, I was hustling, trying to make it in business, running out of petrol, putting £5 in because breaking down all the time, having to change the head gasket and being like, oh man, I can't afford it. That was stress. Now I've also got stress, but it's just a different type of stress. But I kind of think you just have to accept that life's hard. And that's one of the things about like gurus and stuff. Some people could say I'm a guru because I teach finances and whatnot. But people saying how easy it can happen and, you can make 6 figures and it's really easy. Just use AI and automate. And it's like, that's not the real world. I know a lot of rich people, right? I know multimillionaires, I know billionaires. You met a billionaire at the dinner from Ghana. Their life is stress. There's no rich people making millions a month that are just lying on the beach. And you wouldn't want to be lying on the beach. That's not fun. It's fun climbing the mountain. I remember climbing up Kilimanjaro and it was tough climbing. Man, it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. You're climbing because you want to get to the top. Then when you get to the top, what do? You go, right, time to climb back down now. So you're not actually wanting to get to the top of the mountain. Same way as when you're working on your business. You're not actually wanting to lie on the beach and just go, I've arrived. As soon as you get to the beach, you go, I'm a millionaire. It's like, what next?
Yeah, what now?
So life's like that. Life's about hard. Life's about conquering. Life's about legacy. Life's about building an empire. Life's about progressing. Life's about beating yourself last year and being better than you were. So I don't really ever think, is it worth it? I never, ever think like that.
Question, right? You on your weight loss journey, did you find yourself, obviously, okay, so to get to where you are now physically, you had to work hard. As you were working hard, did you find yourself wanting to work harder in business? Did that weight loss journey give you any sort of drive?
I was watching a Donald Trump movie yesterday called The Apprentice. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh, bro, it's an interesting movie. Interesting. It just came out just before the election in the States.
Okay, yeah.
It was an assassination on him, man. But it was interesting. It was a good movie still. But they asked him in the movie, I don't know if it was a true conversation, but the doctor said to him, you need to work out what you're doing. And he said, I've only got so much energy in the day, right? I don't want to go to the gym because all my energy needs to be spent on my business. And I thought that's interesting because that's kind of what I used to think. I'm not going to the gym doing push-ups and running and I've only got so much energy in the day. I need to put it all in business.
Yep.
But then some people say the opposite and they say like, actually, if you work out, you've got more energy. To me,
I'm of that belief. Like when you work out and you got more drive, you got more energy to want to go and work harder.
Yeah. I don't really know, mate, if I'm honest. I mean, I've always had loads of energy. So I don't feel like, I'm definitely a lot fitter. I don't get tired going on walks and going up the stairs now. So I'm definitely fitter. But yeah, man, I just think you just got, I wanted my fitness I wanted my health to last.
Yeah.
My dad's got diabetes and I see him suffering. And I just thought, if I'm fat, I'm going to end up, and I'm boxing a lot at the minute. And people are like, it's so dangerous. I'm like, you weren't worried about me when I was obese. Yeah. Why are you worried now?
Yeah.
Oh, even when I go for runs, it's icy, you might slip. It's like, you weren't worried about me when I was eating McDonald's every day and I was 6 stone overweight and I was 28%, 30% body fat. A third of me was just fat. That was a third of me. You weren't worried then, but now you're worried because I'm getting in a boxing ring, having a gentleman's sport with 16-ounce soft cushion gloves. You're all worried. Come on. It's messed up.
Give it a rest.
It's like people get worried when you go on a mentor, like when people join my academy, people are like, oh, it might not work. It's like, you weren't worried when they went to university. Brainwashed we are as a society. Brainwashed to be fat, lazy and broke.
So that's what I'm saying. So fat, lazy and broke. Now you're in shape. Do you think it makes a difference to who you are as a person? In terms of, how do I word this right with making it make sense? For example, we've both been fortunate enough to interview Tate and talk with him. You know, he always preaches the fact that stay in shape and all that sort of stuff, and the lifestyle you want and desire will come to you, right?
No, I don't agree with that.
Not you don't, really?
No, I don't agree with that. I see so many people that are ripped with six packs and they're broke.
Probably because they're spending too much time in the gym.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's true. Likewise, and I've seen people who are of bigger size, absolute millionaires, billionaires, and stuff like that.
Yeah, loads.
Let's talk about this because me and you have both interviewed Tate. As whatever Tate stands for, do you agree with him?
On what?
The way his work rate is, and I suppose. Well, first of all, what did you think of him when you met him and you interviewed him?
I mean, do you agree with Tate? Is a very broad
it's a very broad question. Yeah,
like, do you agree with Samuel Leeds? I don't know. It depends on what he's saying.
So I'm asking it in perspective of the Matrix and all sorts.
Okay. Well, I mean, when I met with him, we debated quite a few points. For example, he doesn't believe that property is a safe investment. I strongly disagree. Interestingly, when he got arrested and went to prison, they took his supercars, they took his crypto, they closed down his bank. Did they take his houses? No.
But it depends, because what if the house isn't even in his name?
No, but his house in Romania, that was even when he was like on under house arrest and everything like that he didn't have any supercars, he didn't have his Bitcoin, he didn't have anything like that, but he was still in his nice fancy house. So buying properties, it's the hardest thing for the government to take by a mile. I think they will take your crypto. Have you interviewed Simon Squibb? I agreed to interview him. I agreed to debate with him, and he bailed on me at the last minute because he's a little pussy. Like I said, so this is interesting. That's why he bailed on me at the last minute. It seems like there's more beef with him, or is it just the fact that he? No, there's no beef. Property? There's no beef with him. I just think he talks complete nonsense. Just about property, or in general? I don't really see everything else that he says, and I'm sure a lot of what he says is fantastic, and I'm sure he's a wonderful person. I don't have a personal problem with him, but the stuff he says about property is just complete nonsense. I'd love to debate him on that. I don't really listen to I don't really hear what he says. All I know is he messaged me, I think, or did I message him? I can't remember, but we spoke back and forth. I won't show the messages or anything because, you know what I mean? Like, we were speaking privately on DM, but we were speaking back and forth, and he was like, yeah, let's debate. We planned it. We planned the whole thing, and I was going to go down to his offices. He got his videographers, everything was all great, and I was like, right, and I prepared, man. I was like thinking what I'm going to say, and I prepared. I was like, this is going to be good, and I wasn't going to go in trying to like tear him apart. Like, I just thought we have a great discussion. Some people agree with him, some people agree with me, but I'm gonna own this debate, man. And then he messaged me. I can't remember if it was like just a few days or a week before. Oh, sorry, I can't make it. And I was like, oh, that's a shame. Yeah, I'm busy. Oh, no worries. I said, well, when should we reschedule? Oh, message me in a couple months. I was like, all right. So a couple months later, I messaged him. Oh, when are we good? Oh, I'm a bit busy still. Message me in a couple months. All right. And I just kept coming back to him. Is this recently or? This was not even that long ago when I gave up. And then in the end, I just thought, you know what? And then I think he even said to me, I don't want to do it. I've changed my mind. I don't want to do it anymore. All right, pussy. He doesn't believe what he's saying, and that's why he won't debate it. Because I would debate anybody. And if he ever says, like, oh, I won't debate somebody because I've got a bigger following than someone's got. Yeah. I'll meet with anyone and debate them anything. Unless he's just like some complete hater that's just an idiot. Well, I can't debate everybody. It's like sparring, right? I was like, I had a fight a couple of weeks ago, and it got cancelled. It was a real sad story, actually. 10 fights. I was fighting towards the end. Second guy that was fighting got smacked up, had brain surgery, had a heart attack in the ring. It was really nasty. So they cancelled the whole event and said, no fight. So I lost my fight, which was really unfortunate. And I posted, I said, unfortunately, I've lost my fight. I'm not going to be fighting. And I was getting loads of people in the comments saying like, oh, I'll fight you. I'll mess you up, blah, blah, blah. Right. And I just knew these people saying this, they can't fight. Because if you can fight, you wouldn't talk like that. Like if you're in martial arts or boxing or whatever, and I'm not saying I'm a good boxer even, like I've been doing it, I only started last year, so I can move, right? But I'm not like a good boxer. I'm just all right. I know the basics. I'm a beginner still, right? So people were saying in the comments, oh, I'd mash you up, blah, blah, blah. And I thought, man, these people are probably pussies. So I posted and I said, come and meet me, right? This is where I am. This is my gym. Come, bring it, right? And loads of people, oh, come, I'll come, right? 21 people confirmed they were coming. 21 people were like, I'm coming. I've got the address, got this. And I can't lie, man. I was even a little bit nervous because I was thinking like, geez, you know what I'm saying? Like these people coming, don't know me. They might be killers.
Yeah.
And they're coming. And my wife was like, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, nah, they're going to be pussies, man. Because they wouldn't, I just know if you're a serious martial artist or boxer, you wouldn't be talking like that. You'd be a bit more respectful, man. You would be. So I thought, whatever, we'll see what happens. At the end of the day, there's a coach there. It's controlled. I've got 16-ounce gloves. Of the 21 people, only 2 came. And both people, I dropped them in the first round. Bang. Like,
but credit to them for coming.
Credit to them. And do you know what? They weren't haters. They weren't disrespectful. They were actually really good gents, no problem. And they weren't experienced boxers, nothing. You know, I'm not saying I'm brilliant, but it just made me think. It's the same with debates. I'll spar with anyone. But then what happened after I did that, I then went to Uganda to build a hospital. But then everyone was like, when are we fighting? And I was just getting flooded with messages saying like, oh, I want to fight. And I'm just like, nah, man, I ain't fighting if all these bumper clap people that are these waste men that just like, who even are they? Like, they don't even deserve to be in the same room as me. They just want me to hit them just so they can go, Samuel hit me. You know what I mean? Some weird people. So I decided I'll just do it every week with my academy members only, right? It's the same with debates. I'll debate anybody. Obviously, losers coming out trying to get clout. Fine. But generally speaking, I'll debate anybody. Simon won't debate anybody that knows what they're talking about because he would be destroyed. And that's why he wouldn't debate me. And maybe he'd have beaten me. I don't know. I'm not so arrogant to say, I'm sure he's an articulate person. But the point is, even if he's a better debater than I am, and even if he's more articulate and this, that, and the other, he's wrong.
See, what I don't understand with him is he preaches to not buy property, but he's a homeowner himself. He owns his own home, the entrepreneur house.
Nah, but he could probably get around that by saying, I am now because I'm really rich and it's a bit of security. But generally for people, you should start first by investing in your business. And then when you make the money, then buy a house. I think that's a fair argument.
But you have to practice what you preach. Do you know what I mean?
Nah, not necessarily. Because remember when I was saying to you earlier, how to make 20 grand is different to how to make 1.5.
Yeah.
He's trying to inspire people to make 10 grand, 20 grand, right? When you got to that point, then make 100 grand a month. But when you get to a certain point, you then might go, okay, well, it's like me. I personally believe that buying a house to live in is probably not super smart to begin with. You generally, it depends how you do it, but generally it makes sense.
I'm on the same agreement, yep.
But then I own my own home. So am I a hypocrite? No. Because I bought my £3 million house with sofa change money. It's a nothing. It's just like, I was actually renting the property and then the landlord said to me, I'm moving back in. I thought, I can't bother to move. Oh, how much? 3 mil? Easy. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm just telling people, don't save up money and work really hard to buy a house and pay down the mortgage. That doesn't make sense when you're starting out. When you're making millions and millions, then you got different
when you're
rules.
Just sitting on cash and do it.
Yeah.
It's just going back to when you were 17 years old and bought your first property. That wasn't for you to go and move out and live in.
If I'd have lived in it, it would have been a liability because now it's not making me any money. I'm living in it.
You might not even be in the position you're in right now because of that decision right there.
Exactly. So exactly. So I don't think Simon's necessarily wrong on that. Where I think Simon's just wrong is where he talks about property is a bad business, is an evil business, and it's not a good way to make money. And I think he just sounds very confused. And I think that his issue is, I think when I was preparing for the debate, I saw that his parents invested in property the wrong way, bought a bunch of houses, over leveraged, clearly didn't know what they were doing, ended up losing a lot of money. And I think he's seen that and been wounded from it, and he's taken his emotional experience and that's why he has the opinion. Either that or it doesn't make business sense for him to teach. Like that irritates me as well. When people teach something just because it fits their agenda. With me, I'll just say, to me, my truth, what works, what's best. I'll even tell people, there's been many people that have messaged me and they've said like, oh, Sammy, I'm thinking of signing up for your course. They're in business. And I said, I don't think you should even do my course because you're in a business right now. Focus on your business. Don't even be thinking about property. Do what you're doing.
Don't spread yourself too thin.
Yeah. And then when you're making a lot of money and you've got a bit of money you want to dump into property, then come see me.
Yeah.
Or if your business isn't really working and you want to get into a property business, then fine. But right now, focus on, I'll just tell people, I'd like to think, I mean, I'm not perfect, but generally I'll just always say what I believe is the truth and the best for the person. But I don't think Simon's like that at all. I think he's a pussy, and I think that he is unauthentic.
Coming back to Tate, right? So they took everything aside from his property.
Yeah.
What about his message that he preaches, matrix, elites, etc., all that sort of stuff?
Bro,
is that stuff you agree with?
Clearly, there are rich and powerful people that have a strong agenda that control the world, that control the banks. The same people that own the media and own the banks and own... But the rich and powerful don't want people to have money. So 100%. And I get what he's saying. He says the matrix. He's talking about the system, the elites. I just wrote a whole book
on it,
talking about that stuff, from my own personal experience.
Talk to me about that, like your personal experience within that.
My personal experience is, number one, I've seen firsthand schools. I mean, just look at this, man. I was at school, my whole life at school till the age of 16, told I was stupid, sat on a special needs desk. Now, I'm making millions of pounds. Why did no one spot any entrepreneurial thing there? Why was I told I was stupid? Why was I sat on a special needs desk? Why did not one person, when I was a kid, say to me, you've got something, you've got a gift? No one. I just thought I was stupid. I thought, I'll probably end up just being a dustbin man or something. Why? That's because the school education system is wired and is set to program people to be good employees. And because I wasn't cut out to be a good employee, then it's just disregarded, you're stupid. It's created to disempower entrepreneurs. So that right from the get-go is the system designed to make you poor. Then you go university. And you go to university.
The biggest con.
Bro, I was with a guy last month who went to business school. He spent £40,000 going to business school for 4 years. And the guy he was learning from had never had a business. That's a fake guru.
Yeah, not just that, but also coming out of that after you get your, degree, the chances of you getting a job in that world with that degree, you're competing amongst all the other people. You're probably not even going to make that back within the first 3 years.
No, you're not.
Not at all.
No, it's like everyone's getting degrees right now. And the whole university system is geared towards helping you get a job, memorizing information, learning from fake teachers to then go and get a job and make fake money. Because money, I mean, bro, people have no idea how messed up. And I spend time with very, very wealthy people, and I can see it. And I just pulled all my kids out of school. I just built a school for my kids.
What do you mean?
I just built a little school and pulled all my kids out.
What, homeschooling sort of thing, or?
I just hired 2 full-time teachers.
Yeah.
Built a little school, pulled all my kids out, and that's where they're going now. Samuel Leeds School.
Just for your kids, or
yes, just for my kids? Well, and also my brother's kids, and also I'm trying to get my sister's kids. Like, we'll see, man. It might grow a little bit.
So you can control the curriculum, or?
Of course.
Okay, so now, so this is an interesting topic because I respect that fully, and you can control what goes into their brains and all that sort of stuff, because we do live in a mad world at the moment. But also, your school, is it, I suppose, not regulated, but allow you to get your GCSEs, grades, all that sort of stuff? Because understandably, you want to try and get them into property as well.
Well, they do whatever they want.
So then what I'm trying to ask is, at the end of this school life in your school, does it allow them the necessary qualifications to go into universities and maybe have like a doctor or a nurse, etc., stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll tailor it to them.
So how much did it cost you to build this school?
Mate, I built many schools.
Yeah.
I just built 2 schools in Uganda.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
that's
my
almost
school
like a charitable act, right?
Yeah, it was through my charity.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my school's just small. It's just like probably the size of this
Yeah, but that's all you need if you've got your 4 kids,
exactly.
brothers' kids.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm massive on education system. And I mean, for me, the fact that financial literacy is completely banned from schools and deliberately banned. And the reason it is, and people think it's some big sinister plan. I don't think that it is a big sinister plan. I think that it's human nature. Let's say you're a billionaire, right? If you're a billionaire, you got a billionaire company. I mean, I've got 60 members of staff. Do I want my staff knowing about money?
Not really.
Do I want my staff knowing what I know about how to run a business and how to make money and how to... If my staff, my 60 odd members of staff, all had 3 or 4 properties making them a couple grand each, they wouldn't need to work anymore. So is that going to benefit me? Well, no. It would benefit me. In fact, I've even had it when like my videographers that travel around with me, spend a lot of time with me, they see me on the phone, they see me doing deals, and I'm like, oh, I don't want them hearing this call because I know they'll go do it. And then they won't need their job.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that, no?
Well, there is really, isn't there?
Well, for me, I'm looking at it as, having the people around you excelling with you as well. For example,
right, exactly.
Having your whole team have that founder's mentality, not necessarily knowing everything, but knowing a lot enough to a point where they're doing the same thing, property deals and all that sort of stuff, but they're all still coincide working together on the same end goal, on the same mission.
Yeah, and that sounds very nice. But the bottom line is, if you've got people that are spending time with you, are you going to let them see and let them know what you do, or are you going to keep it secret? Because I believe if you keep it secret and you deliberately hide stuff from them because you're not thinking about what's in their best interest and you want them to need the job, you want them to be reliant financially on the job, then really, I think that's pretty dishonoring to God that put you in the position of being blessed. If you're blessed, if you have a lot of money, you better hold that money with open hands and a generous heart. You better not, because I wouldn't be successful if there wasn't people that gave me a bit of a leg up. I wouldn't be where I'm at. So this grapple that I had on a personal level is no different to billionaires that have got thousands of employees. Of course they don't want the education system to teach kids how to be entrepreneurial. Of course they don't want people to be, that the poorer you are, the harder you'll need to work. That's why I've firsthand met very successful business owners that deliberately give their sales team bad financial advisors because they know that the financial advisors are crap and will give them poor financial advice. They'll lose their money and then they'll be forced to have to work harder as a salesperson, therefore benefiting the billionaire's company. This is normal.
It makes sense. But I'm also the belief of, share the blessings you've got.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
No, I'm not saying it's ethical to not. I made the decision to actually not hold anything back. I've lost 9 videographers.
Why?
Because they've gone and done property. They've seen me.
Yeah.
And they've left and set up their own portfolios.
But how does that make you feel? Good? Bad? What?
It used to make me feel annoyed.
Yeah.
First time it happened, I was like, geez, what? But now I'll celebrate. I said, good.
What if you just offered stuff, discounted rates for the mentorship and the courses, all that sort of stuff, helps you with it, and that way they're building.
I don't want to say too much because I don't want everybody wanting a job with me, but my staff get looked after well and encouraged to do their thing.
Yeah.
And now if somebody says, I want to leave and do property, I'll encourage them, help them. Had one lady that said, I'm booking a bit of holiday time off. I said, are you really booking holiday time off or are you going to try and set up a business? She said, the latter. I said, let me help you. I spent the whole week with her.
Or trying to set up a business.
Yeah, and she did, and now and then she left the job.
Was it within property or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Her name's Amelia Asante. She left the job.
Yeah.
And now we're still friends. We're cool. But that for me, I'll just sleep better at night doing that. And for me, I'd rather be a millionaire and not a billionaire, but be able to sleep really good and know when I get to, because ultimately my riches are being built in heaven, not on earth.
Yeah, I love to hear that.
I'm building riches on earth, no problem, but everything that we own on earth is leasehold because we come in with nothing and we leave with nothing. So in the meantime, we're just stewards.
Off what you're talking about right there, you sound like you're a man of God. Am I right in saying
bro.
that?
I am. I'm saved by the blood of Jesus, and I'm by His grace. I'm not perfect, but I am a man of faith. Yeah.
See, you know, as a I don't want to. I don't know how to say. I'm not going to preach Islam or anything like that to you, or anything like that, or not on camera anyway.
You can, bro.
Well, we can have a conversation about it, right?
You can, man.
But the reason why I'm asking this is it was an interesting thing, right? Because even when we were talking on WhatsApp, you mentioned something that you want to speak on Islamic finance and funding.
Well, not speak on. I'm setting it up.
You're setting it up.
Yep.
So as you know, interest is what we call haram.
Right, and that's the thing. And I talked earlier at the beginning of the podcast about getting into debt.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
exactly,
as a Muslim, you might be thinking, oh.
Yeah. So this is why for a lot of Muslims, they can't get into property.
Yes.
Because there's interest.
Right.
And, you know, there's a saying in the Quran, which is, you know, interest will become so vast that you'll be affected by its dust. So meaning that even if you're not involved in interest, somehow, somewhere along the line in your life, interest is going to affect you.
Right.
And we're seeing that more in today's day and age, more than ever. So when you said this, and then asked if you're a Muslim, you said you're not, you're a Christian, got me very, very intrigued as to why a Christian person has the care to set something up like this. And what do you understand about it? How can we go around it? What's everything that you need to know? Yeah,
I mean, the first thing I want to say is, before I talk about Islamic finance, is debt generally. Because even the Bible, as a Christian, the Bible says that the borrower is a slave to the lender.
Okay, yeah.
So it's not saying it's haram, but the Bible's saying basically,
don't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So as a Christian, it's similar, and there's a lot of similarities
between Islam and
Christianity. And there's many Christians as well that don't want to get debt. However, when the Bible was written, because you have to look at the context of the time, I did a whole dissertation on biblical economics. So I studied money through the lens of, not through the Quran, but through the lens of the Bible. And when the Bible was written, that was when money was gold, or at least backed by gold. But now, what we're borrowing, when we borrow money, is being printed, and it's going to go to zero.
Yeah.
So now I could argue that actually the lender is slave to the borrower. And if you look at the most successful banks, they're the companies with the most debt, and the governments have the most debt. Why are the governments printing so much money? The reason the governments are printing so much money is because they're in so much debt, and they know that if they're not printing money to pay off the debt, they're printing money to crash the currency. Therefore, their debt will become nothing.
Yeah.
So when the Bible was written and when the Quran was written, money was a different thing. What we talk about money now, when we get into debt, when people talk about money, it's fake.
Yeah.
It's not real money. So if I borrow money from the bank, sure, you might say, oh, but is it haram because I've got to pay interest? But if I borrow money from the bank, it's not real money. It's fake money. It's paper. It's printed. It's not backed by gold, and it hasn't been since 1931 in the UK, and I think 1971 in America. It's not backed by gold. It is becoming worthless. It is becoming trash. If we then take that money and put it into an asset like property that gives us it's now a real asset, real estate. As the pound crashes, I'm profiting. So that's the first thing. However, you might say that's cool, but the Bible says, and regardless of the times, sticking to it. Or that's cool, Samuel. I get your logic as a businessman, but I'm Christian or I'm Muslim. It's haram, and I feel like I'll be being. And everybody has to make a decision based on their conscience. And what, as a Christian, I believe what the Holy Spirit is speaking to you. So there's many people that believe that even though, despite what I'm saying makes sense, they still feel they need to follow the Quran and they need to be obedient to God. And I would never say to that person, no, just pay interest and get debt, because that is ultimately that when they die, they're not going to give an account to me. They're going to give an account to God. So that's why I'm now setting up Islamic finance, because this is going to be a way to help Muslims, because I have many Muslim students and I have many Muslim friends, get into property, leverage other people's money without having to do something that their conscience tells them not to do.
So how does it work exactly then?
Well, that's my mission, bro. I'm setting that. I've been last 3 months. I've been in meetings back and forth with my lawyers.
Okay, so it's something it's still in the motion.
It's going to be a 2025 launch. So I don't want to say too much right now because then I don't want too many messages every day. Because it's not live yet.
Yeah.
But I'm also speaking with different government bodies and also Muslims that are very strict Muslims that I love and respect and trust. Getting there, making sure that it's because I'm not Muslim myself.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure that it works both from a investing perspective.
Yep.
But also from a religious perspective as well.
No, I respect it very much, man. And I'll give you an example of how like there are what we call Sharia law compliant finance bodies, right? That do car loans or mortgages and stuff like that. And essentially what they do is they, add up the total interest. So let's just say, we'll give you an example of £10,000. The interest overall is 5,000. They'll put that 5,000 onto the cash price of it.
Yeah.
So let's just say you're getting a car which is cash value 10,000 on usual finance, it might add up to 15,000. In a Sharia law sort of situation, they'll make the cash value 15,000. Yeah. And they're basically including interest in the price, and they advertise it as
that's
zero
one
interest.
Way.
Yeah.
That's one way.
Okay.
And there's multiple ways. There's many different ways. There's three that we're potentially looking to introduce.
Have you looked into Islam?
As a religion?
Yeah.
In what sense by looked in?
Well, you've got to be intrigued somewhat or another, one way or another.
When I was at Bible college, I had to do a little bit of study, but I wouldn't claim to be an expert in.
No, of course. But I mean, even as from a simple point of wanting to introduce this new thing, it's got to intrigue you in some way to cater to the Muslims. It's a business perspective, yes, but also it could also be like this is interesting the way Muslims live or Islam.
Yeah, and also it's because I just want to see people win. And when people are coming down to my like £1 crash courses, getting excited, but then feeling conflicted, I just want to make sure that human to human, I'm not even thinking about it as like, I'm Christian, you're Muslim. I'm just thinking you're human, I'm a human. You're my brother.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
So how can we cater to you as a human to make sure that you're happy and you're successful?
Yeah, that's it. We're all people of the book, shall we say?
Yeah, man, we are. We all come from Adam.
That's it, literally. Yeah, that's it. I mean, there's so many commonalities between Islam and Christianity, but that's a conversation for another day. I want to come into the art of sales, right? Because we went to speak about this earlier on in the podcast.
You try to sell me on reverting right now.
Mate, I'll do it if you really want me to. But look, the reason why this is relevant is because I recently just sold out on my mastermind, which is happening in Dubai in December.
Oh, cool.
So sold out on that. Good. That was my first time actually selling a product off the back of Ceocast, which, could be coming more in the future in terms of building my own businesses and all that sort of stuff. What is the art of selling? How do we go around selling a product? I want to know Samuel Leeds' strategies for selling.
I think selling is listening and asking questions. Selling is, number one, having a product or a service that before you can sell to anyone, you must first be sold yourself. You wouldn't be able to convert anybody to Islam unless you're a Muslim.
Yeah, unless you believe in Islam yourself.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. If you believe passionately, man, I believe in this. This is important. This is a message that I want you to have. But if you're not going to get paid if I become a Muslim, right? Or if anybody does. I'm not going to get paid if you become Christian, right? But you might want someone because you're so sold yourself.
Yeah.
And in the same way, if you're selling a product, if you're selling a mastermind, before you can sell it properly, I'm sure that you're like, man, I've made this good. I know what I'm talking about. This is actually positively going to impact your life. It's going to help you. So you're sold. That's the very first thing. If you've not got a product that you're sold on, if you're selling property and you're packaging deals to sell them to investors, you've got to be proper sold on it yourself. And I think the reason is, there's many reasons, but the first reason is humans have got a sixth sense. And if you're not sold yourself, even if you're saying the right thing, you're following the scripts, most human beings, unless you're a psychopath, I think most human beings are good people.
Yep.
Right? You're a good person, I'm a good person. Most people are generally good people. Not 100% good, but generally good people. So if you've got a product, let's say I'm trying to sell you a house, and I'm thinking, actually, it's a bit of a rubbish investment, but I need to get paid.
Yep.
My subliminal mind won't even want you to buy it. Because I'll be thinking, I don't want to do him dirty. I need the money, but I don't want to do him dirty.
Yeah.
And your sixth sense will sense that there's something
off with this deal.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're not sold 100% on what you're selling, that's the very first thing. Second thing, once you got a product, is asking questions and actually finding out if they need what you've got. So if I've got an investment deal, let's say I've got a really good investment property and I want to sell it to you, but you're Simon Squibb, right? And you hate property and you think it's evil. And even if it's a brilliant deal, you ain't ever going to buy it.
Yep.
Then I would be doing you a disservice and wasting your time and being a nuisance and offending you by trying to sell it to you. So before I try and sell anything, I'm sold myself. Next, I'm going to ask you questions. Hey, what are you in the market for? You're looking to invest. What kind of things are you looking to invest in? If you go, oh, I'm definitely not property. I hate property. It's evil because I'm an idiot and I'm called Simon Squibb. Then I'm not going to even try and sell. Right?
But wouldn't you try and convert them to make them think the opposite? Make them understand, look, I understand where you're coming from, but so and so and so and so on.
Probably not. Like if I say to someone, hey, you should join my program, and then they go, oh, well, I'm not really interested in property. I'm not going to try and convince you. I go, okay, well, then it's not a good fit. So have yourself a wonderful day. Some people that come to my £1 events, they're not even interested in doing property. They just want to meet me. Mm-hmm. They've seen me on YouTube. They want to get a picture with me. They like me. They're inspired by me. And they just want to come, shake my hand, have a selfie. They're not actually wanting to get in property. So I'm not going to try and say, do some advanced training, because they're not really there for that. Or some people there might have just come because their partner brought them there. So I'm not going to try, because you've only got so many hours in the day. So I'm not going to spend time trying to convince anybody. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you questions and make you convince yourself. So if I'm trying to sell you a deal, I'm going to go, okay, cool. What kind of investment are you looking for? You're going to tell me, I'm looking for something that makes X% of return. Okay, cool. What else? Where are you looking? Are you looking in Birmingham? All right, cool. So I'm going to ask you questions, and then I'm going to find something that's suitable to sell to you. And then I'm just going to close. I'm just going to say, okay, well, how would you like to pay? And that's something in Britain that most people can't do, because they can't bring themselves to close. If you go to like many different countries, America, Asia, they'll close. They'll be click. Whereas in the UK, we're so polite that selling is a bit like, ooh, it's a bit awkward. But once I've qualified you, I'll go, okay, cool. So you're looking in Birmingham, you're looking at this, you're looking for this, you're looking for this, you've got the money. All right, cool. Well, here's what I've got. This is my product. I'll give you the details, give you the information, and then I'll ask you questions. I'll say, what do you think? Oh, it looks great. Okay, great. So what do you need from me to make it? My finder's fee is £5,000. What do you need from me to make a decision? Oh, no, it looks good, actually. I think that looks perfect. All right, great. So how would you like to pay?
Is that just your closing line?
Not
how
always.
Would you like to pay?
No, it depends on how I'm taking payment. Mm-hmm. Or I might do an alternative close. So I might say, it depends on what I'm selling, but I might say, would you be paying card, cash, bank transfer?
Yeah.
Or I might say, so what do you want to do? And I'll always close with an open question though.
But the open questions gives them room to reject.
It does, but it also doesn't force them into a corner of saying yes or no, because that's what you don't want to do.
So I'm looking at it from the perspective I had with my experience, because all the calls for the mastermind, all the sales calls, I took myself personally.
Good.
I wanted to get the experience, I wanted to learn, I wanted to do it, and I sold them all tickets gone.
Good, well done, mate.
Off the back of that, what I did learn is that a lot of people were harder to close, and they were convinced on the mastermind. They understood that it's a great thing, it's wonderful things can happen. They want to come. And it was just about, at the price point, they were trying to think, right, how do I justify this?
Yeah.
That was, I suppose, my struggle.
Do you know what I would have done then?
Go on.
Oh, mate, I am good at sales.
Go on.
If someone's like, I can tell they're struggling with the price, I'll ask them the question. I'll say, let me ask you a question. How much is your program?
It was 5K.
5K. I'll say, let me ask you a question. This program's 5K, right? That's a big investment. I know you're interested. We've been talking now for 20 minutes. How would you justify this purchase? How are you gonna make sense of £5,000 for this program? Mm-hmm. And then they'll go, well, I guess I could probably make that back in one deal. Okay. So I'm always going to let them sell themselves. If I say it's one thing, if I'm selling, I sell a lot of properties, right? And that's kind of like my background. I became a millionaire from selling properties, packaging deals, selling them, and then I'd use that money to pump into my investments. But if I'm selling you a deal, when you first inquire, because I might send an email or do a post on Facebook or Instagram, so I've got this deal, these are the figures, message me if you're interested, right? You'll message me, I'll go, okay, cool, what's your number? And then I'll give you a call and you'll answer. And I'll say, hey, thanks so much for getting in touch, thanks for the message. And I'm going to ask you, what was it about this investment that caught your eye? Now, most people don't do that. Most people will be like, oh, hello, it's Samuel Leeds from Samuel Leeds Limited. Are you free to speak? Stupid sales thing to say. And then you'll go, yeah. And now straight away you're like, yeah, guard up. And then I'll say, great, thanks so much. Well, you inquired about the property. Let me tell you about it. This is a really good investment. And blah, 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 blah. And they're just thinking, they've already decided they're not going to do it. Whereas if I call up and I'm just chill, yo, Raheem, how's it going, man?
Oh, good,
like
mate.
A friend.
Yep.
Listen, you dropped me a DM saying you're interested in the property. I just want to touch base real quick and ask you, I mean, what was it? What was it, Raheem, about this property that caught your interest? Why did you DM me? Now I've changed the dynamics of the conversation. Now I'm in control.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me. Now you might say, oh, I just love the fact that it's 20% below market value. That's it. I'm a numbers guy. Now I'm not going to bother telling you, well, it's in Birmingham. It's a nice area in the garden because you ain't interested.
Go on.
No, I'm just saying, when I'm selling, I'm just going to find out what you want and give it to you. I'm going to ask you questions, let you sell yourself. And if you say, if I say, how can you make sense of the program at $5,000? How can you justify that? And if you go, well, to be honest, I can't. I'm really skint and I'm not even going to try and close you, man.
Yeah, because no point.
No point.
Yeah. I saw a YouTube video of Alex Hormozi of one of his sales video. He was saying the person who's asking the questions is the one who's in charge.
Right.
That right? Correct. Yeah. Okay, so always be the one who's asking questions, find out more about your customer.
100%.
Pain points, everything, and selling to them like that.
100%. Whose interview is this right now?
Mine.
Right, who's in control? You're in control.
Yeah.
It's your studio, you're in control. You're asking me, although I just asked you a question right there. But it'd be disrespectful for me to come onto your podcast and start asking you questions.
Yeah.
Because it's your podcast, you're in control. If I went to court and the judge says, where were you on Tuesday on the 12th of December? And I said, well, where were you? What? No, man, the judge is in control here, right? In the same way, when I'm doing a sales call, I'm in control. I'm asking the questions. So my first question is, what was it that caught your eye about the property? All right, let them sell themselves. All right, great. And I'll even get permission as well. I get permission. I'll say, okay, oh, great, amazing. I agree. It's fantastic, isn't it? Listen, would it be okay if I ask you a few questions about your situation just to see if this could be a good fit? Yeah, all right, great. So firstly, and I'm going to start asking questions. How are you financing this? Okay, great. And are you the decision maker? Do you have experience? I'm asking you questions. I go, okay, it's great. Also, my final question, and this is how I sell really good, is before I close, I've read so many books that talk nonsense about this. I've read a book called Always Be Closing. Total nonsense. I totally disagree.
Don't read.
Yeah, there's so many books. The Psychology of Money. Absolute tripe. Do not read the
That's
Psychology.
one you beat him on the book sales?
I said I beat him. I beat him for like a day. You know what I'm saying? He's kicking my ass.
No, but do you know why? Have you got TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know he's an affiliate for that book. As in that book is an affiliate. So
good for him.
But what I'm saying is every single person has been promoting it, which is why it's become.
I saw Stephen Bartlett. That's why I bought it. Stephen Bartlett did it. I bet he got paid.
Yeah, 100%.
He did a video and he was like, "This book changed my life." And then I read it. I was like, "Bruh, this book is crap. This book is literally." I get so angry with him when I'm reading books that are rubbish. Right. Number one, if they waffle and they speak too much and they're too long, I get angry. But I get really angry if they're just talking nonsense, like the Psychology of Money, saying like, Bill Gates is only rich because he happened to be in a school that was the first school to build computers. And I'm like, what about all the other students?
Yeah.
Bill Gates, come on, man. Right. So I'm shouting at my wife, right? And I'm saying, this guy's broke. I can tell he's broke. And my wife said, do you reckon? I'm like, Google his net worth. She Googles his net worth. Oh yeah, he's worth like 300 grand. I knew it.
Yeah.
What gives him the credentials to write a book about making money and the psychology of money? And like, why are people reading about money advice from a dude who's worth 300 grand and he's like 50s or 60s? It's like going to business university, learning from a guy that's got a failed business. Like, it just makes zero sense. But I don't remember. Always be closing. Nonsense. Always be closing. Closing, the difference between sales and closing. Selling is when I'm asking you questions, I'm going through the sales process, or maybe I'm explaining the deal to you. Yep. Fine, that's maybe selling, right? Closing is collecting your money. Closing is, great, here's the application form, there you go. Or how would you like to pay? Or pulling out the card machine, right? That's closing the deal. And before you close, what I always do is I pre-close. So I'm not going to say to you, are you interested in the property? Are you? Great. Well, my fee's £5,000. How would you like to pay? Because it's too soon.
Yep.
You've got to time it right.
Yeah, you got to warm it up.
Right, and you got to make sure they're ready.
Yep.
You got to ask them, is there anything else you need from me? Perfect. How would you like to pay? Right, you got to do it right. But also the question I ask at the beginning is I'll say to them, look, I'm glad you're interested in the property. It sounds like you'd be a really good fit. My finder's fee is £5,000 for the package deal. If I can answer all your questions, and if the property ticks all the boxes for you, are you in a position where you could pay that today? And if they say no, I'm getting off the phone. I do the same if I was selling your mastermind. I'd say, they inquire, hey, I'm interested in the mastermind. All right, great. What was it that caught your eye? Of all the people running masterminds on sales, why did you call Raheem? Why did you call me? Yeah. Oh, because blah, blah, blah,
That's
blah,
exactly
blah.
how I started off the sales calls pretty much.
Yeah. And then I'd say, great, would it be all right if I ask you a few questions about your situation? Okay, so what are your businesses in at the moment? What are you looking to sell? Why are you looking to sell? Blah, 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 blah. Right. Now, if I can answer all your, my mastermind is $5,000. Let me ask you a question. If I can answer all your questions and give you all the information about the mastermind, then if it ticks all the boxes and you're confident this is the right program for you, are you in a position to make that payment today?
So would you mention the price before you even ask the questions?
Yep.
Okay, that's the first.
Up front, I even do that when I'm selling on stage. I'll usually say, I'm going to tell you about a program. This is the investment's 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, whatever. And I'll also, whenever I sell on stage, I'll always get permission from everybody first. So I'll be like, look, I've got this has it been a good day so far? Amazing. Look, I've got some advanced training. Would it be okay with your permission if I spend 15, 20 minutes giving a bit of an overview of the advanced programs? Is that okay? Yeah. And then that way, if someone's like, I don't want to be sold to, they can leave.
Usually a lot of salespeople, they leave the price till last. They warm them up to the whole idea for selling and everything, and then bam.
Because then the person's just thinking, what's the price? What's the price?
Right, the whole time.
Get it out of the way. That's something Grant Cardone told me. Get it out of the way. Grant Cardone even did that with me. I was like, I'm interested in some mentoring. What kind of things would you work? And his salesperson sat down with me and went, right. So the mentoring with Grant Cardone is £200,000. And I was like, geez, £200,000. And he said, now, would it be okay if I ask you some questions about your situation? Yeah, man, sure. Blah, 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 blah. He takes control and he goes, right now, let me tell you about the program. Let me tell you what you get. Let me tell you about the mentorship. Tell me about, but I know the investment from the beginning. So it's out the way. I don't think that's necessarily always the way to do it, but I think generally
I think it's a very interesting way to do it, to be fair.
Another thing is, I'll say, sorry to interrupt, but all of the prices to all of my programs on the education side are all published publicly on the website.
Okay, so you know exactly what you're calling up for.
Exactly. Now, I might do a special offer where I bundle things together.
Yeah.
Where I say, hey, if you sign up today, you'll get this program for free along with this 2 for 1 or whatever. Fine. But it's all there on the website. So there's no because a lot of trainers, when I first started getting into business and I'd go on courses, you go on a course and you think it's the course, and then they upsell you, and you're like, oh, geez, 10 grand or 5 grand or whatever, and then you go on that course, and then they upsell you again, and you're like, oh. And personally, I'd rather just know up front what's coming. Like that's why I'll even say on my website, I'll even say to you on my podcast, I run a £1 course, then 2,000, then 12,000.
Yeah.
After 12,000, there is nothing. There's no 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. That's it. That's the top.
No masterminds?
Yeah, you get it on the 12,000.
Oh, really? So
with me every week.
Okay, fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, you get everything, bro.
Yeah, that's not bad.
You wouldn't believe it. I ain't going to start selling on this, but you're like, it's beyond.
Yeah.
And sometimes people will compare it. They'll go, oh, there's a competitor of yours that have said that there's 8 grand. And I go, okay, we'll do that. I don't care, man. I just want you to be happy and educated. If you want to, they'll go on someone that does 8 grand, and then they'll go, oh, now they've upsold me again for 50 grand. Okay, and then you're always going to come back to me. If you want to get into property, I'm not talking about sales or whatever. You want to learn sales, go to Raheem or Grant Cardone or Jordan. But property, you want to go to property, you're always going to end up coming back to me. You might go to someone else, or maybe you heard some bad things about me. Maybe you heard some competitors talking some nasty stuff. You're like, oh, Samuel Leeds. But you'll always end up coming back to me because I'm the best. And I have to believe that, otherwise I couldn't sell it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
It's 100%. Subjective, but I get more success students than anybody.
Do you know when I was selling, I just went back to, I used to work in Carphone Warehouse. So I just went back to my Carphone Warehouse days, literally exactly what I'd say to a customer in shop in person.
Yeah.
Find out everything, sell to them. And I just thought, when I'm going into these mastermind calls, I'm just going to do exactly that.
Yeah.
And it worked, to be fair.
That's good,
It worked, yeah. I want to come to the last few topics of this podcast, right? So as you mentioned in the very beginning, dinner with Jordan Belford, yeah. Your network, as you said, is the best, and no one can network better than you. I want to know who's the top people within your network, and how do you network?
That's a great question.
Furthermore, in fact, you had a load of people at you had Freedom there. You had Crepton Conan.
Yeah.
Who else did you have there? I'm not sure if I recognize the familiar faces, but there was a lot of people there.
Yeah, some celebrities there. And some super rich, like, as you say, billionaires and multi-millionaires, some celebrities, and some like influencers and journalists and whatever. Yeah, networking. Networking is really important. I do have a very good network. And who's the most influential people in my network? I'd say probably people that own banks, like lenders and stuff. Like, I'll give you an example. There was a guy who did one of my training programs called Ronnie and Emma, and they bidded on a property, and the bridging finance company who they were getting the money from was Together Money, right? Lovely company, great company. However, Ronnie and Emma, who bidded on auction, have to complete within 28 days. And during that 28 days, everything closed down for Christmas. Mm-hmm. So now they've literally got like a day. They contact me and they go, I've got to complete on this property tomorrow, but my money that I'm getting the loan from is with the bridging company. They're closed for Christmas. I'm like, damn. I said, who is it? And he says, it's Together Money. Now, as it happens, the guy that owns Together Money, Henry, he's a billionaire. I just had lunch with him a couple months prior. So I'm like, And I know the director, I know the team, I met them.
Yep.
So as a result of that, I said to Ronnie, look, bro, let me make some calls. When do you need to complete? He says, tomorrow. Christmas Eve. I'm like, dude. I said, look, I reckon I can pull some strings and you can get the money. But even if I can't and you don't get the money from the bridging company, I'll personally put the money into your deal.
Yeah, you'll back it yourself.
So I backed him, right? So now he can have a Merry Christmas and he can relax with his family. Got my guy, my finance director, contacted him and said, hey, can you make some calls? Because he, I've got a good team myself. Within about 3 hours, they reopened up and gave him the money and he completed. So most of my network are people that aren't necessarily famous. Yeah, I know celebrities like Andrew Tate. He's massive. Like, I WhatsApp him a lot back and forth and he's been super helpful to me and I've mad respect for it. Like, he's certainly I don't agree with everything he says, but like, he's helped me a lot personally. And he came on my show for free twice.
Yep.
And blew my channel up. So I got nothing but respect for that. But like, it's not necessarily the famous people, the musicians, the artists that I would say are probably the most beneficial to me on a daily basis. Those guys are my friends, cool. But I would say banks, some of the people within the planning that work in the council that can make things happen. I'd say they're probably my most powerful people within my network.
And how do you get to know them?
Well, I get to know them by putting myself out there. And like that guy, Henry, the billionaire that owns Together Money, he reached out to me, not personally. His team reached out to my team.
Yep.
And they'd seen me on the, I can't remember the name of the paper, but it was a Manchester paper. So a guy called Tyrone and Chantel, couple, came on my training, did really well, blew up.
Tyrone Ash?
Nah.
Oh, okay.
He's my friend as well, though.
Yeah.
But he's not my student.
When you said property, Tyrone from Manchester.
Yeah, Tyrone Ash. He's my friend, man. He's a sick guy. I love him.
Yeah.
But Tyrone and Chantel came on my training, did really well. Their story was so amazing that it made the newspapers. And I can pull strings to make that happen.
Yep.
Right? But it made the newspapers. And then this billionaire saw the paper and was like, oh, they were trained by Samuel Leeds. Who's this guy? And then his team reached out to my team and said, like what you're doing, come meet me for lunch. And I said to this guy, I was like, can I interview you on my podcast? He's like, no. Because that's the thing. Most wealthy people, they won't come on
They don't even
podcasts.
come on the socials or nothing like that.
That's the thing. I'm coming on your podcast, right? We're chatting business and stuff. I'm not being funny, but 99% of people that are talking about money and finance and on podcasts, they haven't got a lot of money. Now, I'm not disrespecting them because I respect their hustle. They're doing their thing. But it's like most rich people, they don't do that kind of thing.
Okay, so here's a question that I need to ask. Do you fit into that?
No, because I'm rich.
But then you're here on the podcast. So it's going against what you're saying.
I'm one of the exceptions. I'm not saying nobody does. But I do it, bro. But as a result, I have the BBC coming after me. As a result, I have Channel 4 coming after me. Both Channel 4 and BBC that are massive media channels have come to my business meetings, have secretly filmed, have tried to get dirt on me. I've been investigated by the FCA. I've had multiple tax investigations. I've had all kinds of persecution in the media and from the system as a result of speaking how I speak because it's rare. If you're speaking and you're making $3,000, $4,000 a month doing Amazon FBA and you're doing YouTube videos, no one cares. No one's interested. But if you're actually if you're challenging the financial literacy within schools, if you're building hospital wards and schools and you're challenging, you're speaking up and you're doing podcasts and you've actually got money and you've actually got influence, you're going to have a lot of repercussions.
People like Tate.
But many people. I mean, Robert Kiyosaki, I've met with him, I've had dinner with him. He was one of the few people that are very wealthy that came on my podcast. He's been crucified by the media for decades. So that's why these people don't do it. That's why these people keep quiet. Because they know that if they do it, they're going to get persecuted.
Someone like Jordan Belfort, do you have to reach out to his team? Is that how it was arranged? Or
you know what, interestingly, the dinner that I put on that was £2,000?
Mm-hmm.
I paid £2,000 5 years previously to attend one of those dinners.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, what, his dinners or?
No, it was actually a dinner organised by a guy called Greg Secker, I think it was.
Yep.
He's I wouldn't say friend, but I know him a little bit. He's a cool guy. And he was organising it. He was the host.
Yep.
And I paid to go to the dinner, met Jordan. I'd say interesting story actually. When I met Jordan, I paid $2,000 to be in a room with Jordan, intimate, same as the kind of the exact same vibe. And I was like, right, I'm going to ask Jordan if he can come on my podcast. I've just been with him for the day doing sales. Mm-hmm. So I went over to Jordan and I said, I don't think I've told this story before actually. Went over to Jordan and I said, hey Jordan, it's great to meet you. My name's Samuel Leeds. I've got a podcast in the UK, pretty big channel. I just wondered, what would I need to do to get you on the channel? And Jordan went, and basically just like fobbed me off. And I was like, man, I paid £2,000 to be at this dinner. I'm not trying to like interview him right now. I'm just saying, what would I need to do? Who do I need to speak to?
Yeah.
So I was a bit like, okay. He'd spent the whole day teaching sales. So I used some of the lines that he taught in the day to get him. So he said, if people give you objections or whatever, so a line that you can say is you can say, look, I understand where you're coming from, but let me ask you a question. Do you like the idea? Does the idea make sense? That's the idea. So when he said to me, oh no, just fobbed me off, I said to him, I understand where you're coming from. And I think he said, like, I'm just eating right now.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, look, I totally understand where you're coming from. Let me ask you a question though. I said, do you like the idea? Does the idea make sense? And I thought he'd like laugh or whatever, but he just looked at me and he went, leave me alone.
Okay, is it?
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Jeez. Right. So I was a little bit wounded by that.
At the moment, did it feel like one of them times of don't meet your heroes?
I mean, he wasn't my hero anyway, but yeah, he was like, okay, you're a douchebag.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Greg Secker came up to me and almost was like, kind of didn't apologise, but then introduced me to his manager or his assistant or whatever whoever he was with. Yeah. And then I spoke with them briefly, and then we kind of kept in touch a little bit. And it might have just been that maybe I caught Jordan on a bit of a bad day, I don't know. But I was a bit like, whatever. But then we were talking back and forth a bit, and then we got him to come down. So that's kind of how it happened.
Okay, no, interesting, man, interesting. I think networking is a great thing, right? And here's what I want to move to now, because you mentioned quite a few times that you've spent about 200,000 at Grant Cardone's.
Yeah.
On mentorship or masterminds?
Mentorship.
I want to come to this point about mentorship, right? Because recently I've been finding myself talking to people, having conversations with people, almost like seeking guidance and just trying to understand things, whether it be sales, whether it be anything about masterminds, etc., so on and so forth. And then I came to an epiphany. I was like, holy shit, this is basically mentorship. And for me, it's been somewhat game-changing in terms of you're getting advice from people who've been there, done that.
Right.
And I want to know what your experience with mentorship has been like and how it's changed you, how it's affected your business, how it's elevated you.
Yeah, as in like receiving mentorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been huge. I mean, ultimately in life, I think you get what you pay for. You can pick up lots of great stuff in podcasts like this podcast. People can listen to this, and there's going to be hopefully people get a lot of value from it, and it's going to help them, inspire them, give them some tips. But you cannot beat sitting down with someone one-on-one and the mentor listening to your story, listening to where you're at, and then telling you, okay, in your situation, do this, do this. You can't beat that. It's like watching a YouTube video about how to play chess. Yeah, you could watch you kind of versus sitting down and then having a mentor next to you go, move that piece there, move that piece here. Like, you can't beat that. So you can either learn yourself, in which case that's cool. You can figure stuff out on YouTube. You can Google your way to success. That's fine. But you will make mistakes and you'll pay for your mistakes. or you can pay for your education and mentorship. Those are the two options. So for me personally, I had a mentor. I've had many mentors. I would consider my first official mentor to be a man called Doug Dorbury from ETC Consultancy, who was ridiculously helpful. I met him at BNI, Business Networking International. Again, going back to networking, I've always believed in networking, and I've always invested. Even as a teenager, I paid to be a member of BNI. I'm paying to get in the right rooms.
That's what people don't understand. Some people don't understand that you have to pay for network as well sometimes.
You have to.
Yeah.
Because if you go to a networking event where everyone's paid £10 to be in the room, they're probably not going to be great people. But if you at the dinner, when people were paying $2,000, now you've got serious people. Now you got, so you exactly, but also mentorship. So I registered with Doug. Doug introduced me to his cousin, a guy called Tony, who also became a mentor to me, who helped me with organizational structure, how to actually, when I started in business, I made so many, I had like a business bank that wasn't even a business bank, it was a personal bank, and it was mixed, all my business expenses, all my personal, I just didn't know what I was doing, because no one taught me. So, and I paid, I just paid to have mentors. And then as I went on, I started, I say this respectfully because some of the mentors are still my friends and mentors even to this day, but I'd overtake my mentors. So I'd get a mentor, and like when I became a millionaire, and I'm like, okay, I reckon I'm making about as much money as my mentor now, so I'd get a new mentor. And then I'd kind of like find people more successful than me.
How'd you find them? For example, let's just say you've hit 1 million.
Yeah.
Now, right, I need to find a mentor who's done 10 million. How'd you find him?
I think it's just people, word of mouth, people that you see on YouTube. Like, I think I saw Grant Cardone on YouTube, and he just resonated with me. This was when I was about 27. And I thought, okay, so I went down to one of his events, paid about £7,000 to go to a boot camp. Great program. I'm not going to drop £200,000 cold.
Yep.
So I spent £7,000, spent 4 days at an event with him. Okay, like him, had a little chat with him briefly, met his team, saw what he was about. And I thought, okay, cool. Dropped 200,000. Got a few one-on-one sessions with him. But even that with Grant Cardone, like that £200,000, that was well spent because he helped me structure some of my development deals, and I at least 10x'd my money as a direct result from that. So yeah, I mean, look, there's no magic bullet, and we say this whenever I sell my programs. I always say this is not a guarantee. You're going to make, this is an opportunity. It's not a promise, it's a process, because ultimately what I can do is I can help equip people, give them the tools, but it's work.
Yeah.
You
still got to put in work.
100%.
It's not like you're paying Samuel Leeds 12k and suddenly you're worth £1 million because you've got properties on the book. You still got.
And another thing it's not like as well is it's not like I'm going to pay £12,000 for mentorship and then I'm going to cross my fingers and hope it works. You can't hope it works. You have to make it work. And with the right people and the right support and the right network, it's almost like business on easy. It's like if you're playing a computer game, it's like putting the setting on easy mode. You still got to do it, but it's on easy mode.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're trying to do it on your own, you're playing on
extreme hard.
Yeah, exactly. You can do it maybe, but it's extremely hard.
Yeah. You might have to try it several times to do it. You know what? That's a great analogy to say as well,
Yeah. I only just came up with that right now.
Yeah, sick. Yeah. I like it a lot. But no, mentorships, I haven't been in a position where I've paid for mentorship, not because I'm denying it. It's just what's happened in my life so far with the supposed mentors who I'm looking at as mentors have just been off the back of people I've done a podcast with, and then I'll become friends with them. A lot of the people who have sat here across the table with me have become great friends.
Yeah.
So naturally, whenever I've got an obstacle in life or something I want to unfold and discover, I'll literally call whoever's relevant at the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I click with more people, and then I'll just keep going back to them for so and so and so and so. So I'll have to give that shout out to one of my friends, Dan Chung. He's a trader, but in terms of business, he's sick.
That's cool, man.
But no, definitely up for mentorship, and I'm trying to look for more mentors and stuff like that within, I suppose, the social media or YouTube space to help.
Well, you're doing well, mate. So for you to find a mentor in that space will probably be a bit difficult because you're I say you're killing the game. There's always people more successful. There's always people less. But like finding someone that you got to find a mentor that's actually done what you want to achieve. So if you want to get a 6-pack, there's no point getting a mentor to help you do it. If they ain't got a 6-pack, there's no point taking financial guidance from someone who's broke. You got to find someone that you resonate with that's done what you want to do, and then absolutely.
Question: You're mentor as well, right?
I'm a what?
Mentor.
Yeah, man. 100%.
If I was to charge for mentorship, what do you think price point would be for that? For I suppose, building a YouTube channel, mentor like that?
Yeah. I think it depends. I think there's two factors to look at. The first factor to look at is what are you what are you worth in terms of what are people prepared to pay? So
how do you work that one out?
Okay, so when I started deal sourcing, I'd package a deal and sell it. I charged £1,000.
Yep.
And what I'd do is I'd say, right, pay me £100, come out with me, I'll introduce you to a bunch of houses, and then if you like one and you want to buy it, pay me £900 top up. That's what I did.
Yep.
So I sent an email out, and I'd have multiple people paying the £100. And I'm like, oh, damn, man. I can take 4, but my car can't take more. So I'd take 4 people, and I'd go back-to-back properties, and they'd all be, fighting over it. And then Tony, my mentor, said, you're charging too cheap. You need to charge $2,000 or $3,000. I said, bro, I can't charge $3,000. The houses are only 100. He's like, that's only 3%. He said, charge $3,000. I was like, dude, I don't know if I can. Anyway, in the end, I sent an email. I said $3,000, and I still managed to get someone that paid $1,000 up front and then $2,000 when they bought. And I thought, geez, that was easier. And then I got greedy. Then I was like, I'm gonna charge $5,000. So I sent an email, $5,000. Whoosh, no one bought it. No one was. So I thought, okay. So it's like just finding that sweet spot of what people are actually prepared to pay. I think that's the first thing. And then the second thing from a financially, if you're mentoring someone, is you've got to look at what is going to be the return on investment from them. So if someone's buying, like in my space, if someone's buying a property, they're going to probably need about $50,000 as a deposit in that to buy a normal average property as a deposit, right? Yeah. And if they buy a property, they're going to rent it out for $1,000. Their mortgage payments are going to be £500. They might be left with £500 a month profit, which is about $6,000 a year. So for $50,000, boom, they might make $6,000 a year. If they invest in me mentoring them for a whole year, they're going to invest $12,000, and they're going to make back probably, no guarantee, but far more than $12,000 in their first year. So the return on investment, so it's easy to justify. So for you, if you're helping people, for instance, do podcasts, marketing, shorts, all that kind of stuff, you got to think, who are you selling to, and realistically, how much money are they going to make off the back end from the skills that you give them? Yeah. If you train a few people, mentor a few people, and then they end up making $5,000-6,000 a month, you can go, well, actually, that's like quite a lot of money. If I'm just charging $5,000 and a lot of my students are making that a month, now it becomes,
it makes sense. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's many different factors.
No, because I've been, looking to get into the online educational space as well. A lot of people have been coming to me, a lot of business owners, should we say, have been saying, look, I need to build my personal brand, I need to get on YouTube, etc., all that sort of stuff. And naturally, I don't know why, they've just been coming to me. Probably because of the channel that I've built and stuff, right? So then, to me, that already showed that the demand's there for it. You know, even if there was just 5 clients on it in the beginning, I know that there's demand there for it. So now I'm thinking of
mentor is good.
Yeah.
Mentor is good. And another thing as well I would say about mentoring and stuff like that, in my opinion, I'm not saying it's wrong, but if you're selling courses for like thousands of pounds, fine. And I'm saying this not to you, but I'm saying this to anyone out there watching this, thinking of getting into the training business. I'd say number one, from my experience, training business is a tough business. Because when you're selling programs to people and courses and mentorships to people, you've got to deliver hard, right?
Make sure that they get their values.
100%. It's a tough business. Secondly, if you're selling a course for like thousands, if it's £100 or something, fine. But if it's thousands of pounds, you better damn well make sure, in my opinion, that you're not just giving them a course or online training program. Like all of my advanced training like that, if you're spending thousands, it's coming with one-on-one mentorship, support. You're not just giving them login details to some videos and going, thanks. It's got to be a fair exchange. And number 3, make sure that first, like you've done, you've dominated the space. You've interviewed some of the most famous people in the world. You've got great views, great numbers. Cool. If you're selling a property program, make sure first that you've mastered it, that you've got to a level. Like I've met people.
You're deep in the game. You're on top of your game.
Bro, I was in the business for 10 years. I was in the property business for 10 years before I started running courses. 10 years. I was a millionaire. I was a millionaire in the game for 10 years before, and that's all. I got all my history and receipts before I started running courses. Some people have been in the game for 1 year and they've done one deal, and then they think, oh, that was a bit tough. Oh, no, I'll sell a course. No. So, you know what I'm saying? Don't give the industry a bad rep, because I'm trying to campaign as well at some point. I've spoken about this, but I think that certainly the wealth creation space and property investment training, and it needs some kind of regulation, because there's people just selling.
I think
crap.
the whole online money making space needs regulation for sure.
I think it does. I mean, my courses are regulated. We're CPD registered and accredited, so all of our courses have been audited and checked, and I think that's important. And I think that you got to have complaints procedures, insurances, all contracts, all kinds of stuff in place before you start. In my opinion, before you start running like a training business. But if you do it right, and if you help people, and if you've mastered it yourself, it's super, super rewarding. Because I get messages every day from people, like Ronnie, when Ronnie bought that house that I told you about, the guy that I sorted the finance out for him.
Yeah.
He bought it for $650, and it's now worth $1.4 million because it's a commercial property.
Yeah.
And I taught him how to push the rent up. So that's changed his life. So that's a good feeling.
What made you want to? I don't know if I've asked this in the podcast yet, and I'm not sure why I've left it so late. But what made you want to get into the course selling business in the first place?
You
was already a multi-millionaire for properties over the past 10 years.
It's a great question. I actually didn't. It was kind of a mistake. I was in the property business because I'm Christian, and I had a lot of people in my community from the church judging me because I'm now in business and I'm making a lot of money. And it was quite frowned upon because I was from like an ex-Brethren church. That's why I ended up going to Bible college. And I went to Bible college and I studied for 3 years biblical economics, and that's what I did my dissertation in, but I had to read and write in ancient Hebrew, ancient Greek.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
3 years, man, I spent at Bible college full time, 6 days a week for 3 years. And then when I left Bible college, I thought, man, more people from the church need to realize that actually making money and being in business is not against Christianity. It's actually a good thing. And there's people in the church that are being banged over the head by the preachers, told they should be on the Sunday school, instead of being empowered, uplifted, and released to go into the marketplace to be ethical, God-fearing entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, when I finished Bible college, I set up something called Training Kings, which was not course selling. It was a network. It was a network for not just even Christians. We had Muslims coming as well, but it was predominantly Christians from the churches that were quite serious about their faith, that felt called to business. And I'd bring them together and do talks and run seminars, and it wasn't for profit. It was just, that was my heart. And I started doing this for years. And a lot of the people would be like, do a seminar on property. I know you're talking about mindset and religion and this, but tell us how you've actually made your money. So I'll be like, okay, yeah. And every time they talk on property, it would bang, and everyone would be like, proper, like, wow. And that was when in 2016 I set up my property education company. So that's kind of how it all. And again, that's the thing. Some people set up, they'll set up some property course or some training just because they want to try and make money. But it has to be, it's a tough business. It has to be, if you're going to grow a proper training business, it has to be mission first. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've become the biggest in the UK, certainly on the property side. There's no property education company that's anywhere near our size.
You supplied the demand, which is exactly what happened.
And not just supplied the demand, but felt called to the mission.
Yeah.
And did it. When we, as I said before, when we make a sale, we're just as passionate. Like a lot of people say they come on other people's courses and then they come to us and they're like, it's night and day, because they go to other people's, some of the competitors, and they'll be like, as soon as I paid for the mastermind, they dropped me like a hot potato. They were all excited and had loads of energy.
Yeah,
and were calling me up.
As
soon as I paid, now I'm just a number. Now I can't even get hold of anybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, man.
Do you know what? I've literally made sure. So my mastermind, like I said, is in December. It sold out 2-3 weeks ago, something like that, within the first 3 days of launching it. But I've been making sure that my primary goal is to make sure that the people who are coming to the mastermind are going to get a 10 out of 10 valuable experience. For me, being my first one, I couldn't care less if it makes money or not. It's probably going to lose money.
That's right. It will.
Yeah.
And that's good.
Yeah. And I want to make sure that everyone, I over deliver by miles.
Yeah.
But also leading up to that time, you know, if we've made the sale, what we now, we're in October. So let's just say they got sold in beginning of October. We've got 2 whole months until the mastermind happens, right? I don't want to make them just feel like I've just sold them, disappeared for 2 months.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'll just check in with them.
Support with it.
Yeah, support with them, got WhatsApp them, etc., stuff like that.
And then you set the
making sure
expectations. You said, look, it's a couple months.
Literally, exactly
how it works.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
great. And
yeah.
that's good. And when I first started doing the masterminds, mate, it was like, geez, I became financially free and now I'm a slave because now everyone's messaging me in the past. It is hard.
Yeah. No,
that's why it's got to be mission.
Yeah.
You got to be called to do it.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And we get people now come through our training, become millionaires, super successful, and then they're like, Samuel, I'm thinking of setting up my own training. What do you think? And if people say that and they've come to the training and they're successful, like, I don't try and stop people. I'm like, if you're called to it, go do it. But it's hard. If you want, you can come and work as a mentor within the academy.
Okay, interesting.
And then we pay people, but they've obviously got to be millionaires. They can't just been in for 12 months. Like, they've got to be pretty established. But now we've got like a whole bunch. We pay our mentors £1 million a year.
Really?
Yeah.
Fuck me.
So if you come on our training, you're getting proper supported.
Yeah.
When you register, it's not like you disappear. Now it's like, right, now let's start.
Yeah. How many mentors have you got now?
12.
So you're paying out 12 million a year?
No. £1 million a year is how much we pay altogether.
Oh, altogether. Okay.
Yeah. And they're not. Not $1 million each. And they're not like full-time mentors because they're millionaires.
Yeah.
So they're busy.
Yeah.
But what they do is they allocate hours
as and when they're necessarily needed.
And then like on the academy that we have as well, because that's another thing. Some people are like, oh, I went with another course because it was cheaper, and then they find out, the mentoring is one mentoring call a month. Whereas our mentoring is unlimited. Same day or next day. As often as you want. Bang, unlimited.
Yeah, that's a great thing to have.
It's sick, man.
Yeah.
So we're the best.
Yeah. I rate it. I respect it. I think this podcast has been very, very insightful.
Yeah, man. You know what I want to say as well? You're a great interviewer, man. And I think that's why you've probably done well with the show. It's not just about your media skills, your super sexy moving camera, great studio. But no, you're a really good interviewer because you just free flow. Yeah. And I respect that.
As we were talking about before, you know, there have been some podcasts that I've done where I've had structure, questions and all that sort of stuff. But generally, I like to go into podcasts being naturally curious.
Bro, it's a hard skill and it's also really difficult.
Yeah.
Actually being present and listening to somebody.
As we said, this goes back to the art of selling, listening and just asking questions.
Yeah. But sometimes it's hard because I interview people and when you're interviewing someone, they're talking and you're thinking any second they're going to stop talking and then I need to be ready with the next question. So while they're talking, you're thinking, what should I ask them next? Yeah. And it's a tough skill.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Respect, bro.
I appreciate it.
Man. I appreciate it.
Samuel, look, if people are living under a rock and they don't already follow you, ain't heard about you before, where can they find you?
I'd probably just search me on Instagram or YouTube or Google and it's just my name, Samuel Leeds.
And you'll find him there and then.
There we go, bro.
And if people want to get into your program, I'll leave the links in the description below.
Appreciate it.
And if you lot enjoyed the episode, make sure you share it to someone who's going to take as much value from this as possible. Subscribe if you're new around here, like the podcast, and also I think by now the CEO Hub should be launched, so go check that out as well. Until then, catch you lot in the next episode of Ceocast. Peace. Lovely. I don't even know how long that was.
I don't know either. It was a long time though.
Yeah.
How long was it? I reckon it's got to be at least an hour and 20.
Hour and 20. That's your guess.
That's my guess.
Cool. Let's see right now.
I've not looked at my phone once.
Neither have I. Hour and 58.
Shit.